Dan, you know, historically, we've had Derek share words of wisdom to close the show. That's been our history across Fathers of the Grind podcast and the Current Gen podcast, although it's fallen off as of late because tonight, yet again, Derek's unable to make it. But four of us are here: Dan, Jeff, Kyle, and myself, and Tim. But Dan, I want you to start us off with some words of wisdom. Before we get into any segments, any conversations, what words of wisdom do you have for our audience tonight?
I'm not sure if you guys are, closer to my age, so you would be aware of these things. You guys have been around. You're seasoned men. But
thank you.
Yes.
I definitely got some seasoning on me.
Yes, seasoning, lots of seasoning. All the salts.
I was going to say there's a lot of saltiness. Other than that, I don't know about what else we got.
But some people are younger, and they just don't know stuff. Yeah. So all there is to say, it's 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink, not the other way around.
Wow. I really thought you were going to
say the other
something.
way around. Not the other way around.
Wow.
Kind of life-changing, and you went the opposite direction.
Oh. So. Sorry if you're listening in the car. Sorry for the conversation, parents, that you now have to have.
Profanities. I didn't use any profanities, Tim.
You're right. He could have been talking about cotton candy. All right, let's start the show.
Okay. Tim's just going to cut that out.
No, I'm going to leave it in for the
That's
opening.
Got him staying.
That's our stinger.
Okay. That's our stinger.
That's our cold open.
That's our parkour cold open from the office.
Welcome to episode 83 of the Current Gen podcast. As I said before, Dan, Kyle, Jeff, and myself, Tim, are here, and we're going to talk about some new games we're playing, some games we are continuing to play that we touched on last week but didn't really get a chance to dig into. At least 1, probably 2 TV shows that we're all digging. And then also we want to do a Game of the Year watch because, Jeff, how far are we through the year?
Halfway there.
We're halfway there.
Sorry, my bad. Now I'm in auto.
Jeff doesn't know how time works.
I needed you to say halfway there. That's the whole point.
Okay.
So even though we are 75% of the way, it's also halfway there.
Yeah. We're halfway from August to December.
Tim, I don't know why we hired.
Wow.
It's technically true, I guess. I don't know.
Is it? I don't know.
It's from July, but wow.
July. Whatever. Math.
Tim, I don't know why we hire 2 guys that don't understand how time works.
Wow. Yeah.
Actually,
we're back to last week.
Time, it's going to be Kyle and myself living in that mountain time. We always have to do the hour math. Always.
Yeah.
And I do that even for work since I work remotely. I'm always setting up meetings. I just talk in Eastern time zone because there's only like 5 of us that aren't in the Eastern time zone. So right. I just pretend like it's 2 hours ahead throughout the workday. That's just how my mind has to, kind of how it has to work.
That makes sense.
Anyway, all right. Well, there is a segment that we did early on with this show. Usually around year 1, we were doing it more regularly, and we're bringing it back. It's called Sold in 60 Seconds. This is where we give one of our hosts a chance. You get 60 seconds to sell us on some sort of opinion. And it's funny, we were messaging about this before, and based on how our chats usually go, and our chats are like waves. It'll be quiet for a while because we have work and lives, but then all of a sudden the chat will kick in and it just goes. Like I'll sometimes have 80 comments to catch up on, and so and our conversations oftentimes are very opinionated. We oftentimes try to sell each other on some kind of take, opinion, point of view, whatever. And so that just kind of reminded me, like, we haven't done this segment since Kyle and Jeff have been here, and Dan, we haven't done it in a long time. So, Mr.
Last time I recall you guys doing this, I was listening to it because I was not on the show yet.
It was a while ago. Might have even been before Game of the Year. It's been a minute. But speaking of a minute, we're gonna give Dan 1 minute to sell us on some sort of. I mean, it should be gaming related, but I'm not gonna do. You do whatever you need to do.
This is gonna be bad.
Let me get my timer.
No, it's going to be hot, Jeff. It's going to be hot.
I swear to God, if you bring up How I Met Your Mother or Dexter, I'm going to lose it.
No, Kyle, you ruined it. I was going to lead in and then say, never mind, you ruined
it. Well, good. Skip it.
Here's our challenge is a lot of times when we are talking, whether it's on the podcast or in a chat, we want to chime in with our thought before we lose it because it's a flowing conversation. We have to be quiet for 1 full minute until Dan.
60 seconds.
You're gonna mute. Sure.
He has to.
I'm gonna. Me too.
He can't just not talk.
That way on the other side.
He's saying things. I think he's saying olive juice. I think that's what he said. Olive juice. All right. So Dan, I'm gonna start the timer. I'll give you a count in, and then you got 60 seconds. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so Tokyo Game Show TGS just recently occurred, and it is very antiquated. I can't say the damn word right now. Basically, it's old. The format is old. It feels old. It's stale. They barely showed a lot of things, which is actually kind of like what it usually does at TGS. But basically, what I'm trying to get at is, especially during this whole COVID situation, these presentations have all been not super great. Or certain companies trying to do kind of like what Nintendo does, but not quite being on par. I miss the E3 of Dreams back from 2015. Last Guardian being re-revealed, Final Fantasy remake existing, Shenmue 3 coming to life. And then 2016 E3, that opening of God of War, 2018 God of War with like the live orchestra and somebody was playing the demo in real time. Like Keanu Reeves coming out, you're breathtaking. Resident Evil 7 being unveiled as a first-person game, kind of returning to form. Oh, god damn it, really? I thought that was going in and out. When I looked, I thought I said 20 seconds. I was like, I have plenty of time.
It was antiquated. Right. You were thinking of antiquated.
Antiquated, thank you.
All right, Kyle.
I didn't really get to like the main point, so.
Yeah, I didn't hear a main point.
Do you want to just wrap up your main point, even though it might be cheating? Just wrap up your main point in like 5 seconds.
How many more seconds do you need? We'll let you take a bonus time.
Basically, what I was just trying to say is that TGS, the way that the format is just old, and they need to improve it and be either like a Nintendo or like those E3s back then when we actually really enjoyed them and it blew our mind.
Good timing. That was good. 10 extra seconds. You got it. All right, Kyle. Are you convinced? Have you been sold?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't need to be sold on this. Yes, TGS used to be fun. It's not fun. Hasn't been fun in a long time. Japan, you are the leaders of innovation. Innovate. What the hell? Why is this so boring?
Jeff, what about you? Did he sell you?
I don't know. It didn't really sway me because that show is kind of intended, obviously, for a different audience. So I don't know.
But they're translating it for us too, so we are intended to watch it.
Do what?
I said they do translate it in real time for us to watch, so it's for everyone,
And TGS used to be cool because like IGN would show up and they would like. It'd feel like E3 because like the IGN was there and like Damon Hatfield would be there and Greg Miller and all these guys and they'd be orating TGS in a way that they would do it for E3, so it felt the same. But like I don't think they allow a lot of like out of country people now at those events. Not even because of COVID. I think for a long journalists. I meant journalists specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like I couldn't like get to the
coverage.
word. So there hasn't been coverage
like
at TGS in a long time. So I feel like there might be a discrepancy there because of that. So
like it used to be E3 and TGS was like the two hot ones when I was like
same. No,
when I was in my teens.
Remember those days because like in G like Adam Sussler and Morgan Webb would go over there and they would like we don't have a footprint over there anymore at TGS. So like what Jeff is saying is right. Like it is for a different, but it didn't always used to be that way. And I think
See, I
think Dan's point is that like we should go back to that because those games are important and those games always end up coming over here and we're so fascinated with Eastern culture. So we should.
So I'm kind of in the middle just because I can't really declare that I'm sold or not just because I haven't really tracked this particular show enough to tell you to say I agree or disagree. But I agree. If I had to lean one way, I had to lean towards you sold me because this is very much a Dan Freitas type of a event. So if I'm going to lean on anybody to give me the update on an event like TGS, I'm going to lean on you. So if you're telling me that they're not doing it right, that's kind of at the core all I need to hear. Dan says they're not doing it right. Honestly, I kind of believe it.
Like, is it fun watching like a bunch of guys, whether they're from Japan or from the United States, just sitting behind a table and just talking at you, and the occasional screenshot? Like that's boring as hell. Like,
and the translations are never good enough to make it like interesting.
And
they're I don't know.
Shout out to the translators because they're doing it in real time, and it seems super, super difficult. Like, because the words are being said and it's live, so like the Japanese developers are just speaking, and this person's
hearing and saying at the same time, and it's got to be super hard.
But it's just sometimes it's very disorienting because like they think they're gonna say a certain word, but then like Japanese is hard, and the way that they write and speak is weird. Not weird, but
we're veering into some dangerous territory there, Mr.
I just know that what their wording is like the way that you pronunciate certain things. Like it may sound so similar, but it's like two different words and things like that.
Well, that's the other thing with translation is because even sentences are structured differently. You have to wait for the entire thought to get out.
Yeah, when you say I'm American in Japan, it's American I am.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So I mean, it's not our fault that other languages are stupid. It's not our fault. Okay. It's not our fault that English is the best.
I'm learning American Sign Language, and
nice.
And their sentences are structured like that too,
okay.
Where you'll say ASL learning, like I'm learning, instead of I'm learning
My wife was
ASL.
watching a show that the whole family does signing, and it's really cool looking. Like it makes me want to be able to do it too. So that's cool that you're learning that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's a whole country. A whole country knows that language, or not a whole country. It is our country. Millions of people know that language, and I'm like, America. I feel like an idiot over here.
Yeah. I agree. All right, so let's talk about stuff we're playing and watching before we go through our Game of the Year watch and some headlines in a little bit. There are some games that we briefly were able to play before last week's episode. So we were able to give you kind of early impressions of Lost Judgment and Kana. But I think we might have a little more to say about both of those. I know both of them have been played a lot more this past week, so we'll dig into those. But first, I want to talk about this new racing phenomenon that is Hot Wheels Unleashed.
Phenomenal. It's getting 9s out of 10s.
It is.
9s.
It's not just Hot Wheels. It's Unleashed. Okay.
It's been unleashed in our faces.
There's such a difference.
Hate everything.
So I have not purchased this game or started playing it, mainly just because $50 feels steep for an arcade racer to me.
It is.
But tell me about this. Is it just Jeff who's playing this one?
I think it might be just me.
Okay.
Nobody else in their right mind would pay $50 for this game.
You must really like Hot Wheels.
If you knew how it played and what it offered.
It's like, hey, dude, guys, I skipped on Deathloop and I actually bought Hot Wheels, guys. Are you happy with that? Or
Dude, when I worked at KB Toys back in the day, there'd be like just grown men, 50-year-old men waiting outside the gate for actual Hot Wheel cars. Like people love Hot Wheels. Like,
I collected them. I mean, that's why I was excited.
It's a major collector's item. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was excited for this. I was like, oh, cool. It's just like you're building the tracks like I used to do as a kid. You know, because the tracks are in bedroom environments or basements or whatever, dens. Or some of them are. Some of them are in a skate park, and you're like a tiny car just racing around. So that's fun. Mm-hmm. But didn't Forza 3 do a DLC for Hot Wheels?
Legos,
really good
Legos,
ones,
right?
All right, well, that game is like 4 or 5 years old or whatever, 4 or 5 year old, whatever, and that did this better. So that's just automatically like that's bad.
Okay, but real quick, Forza Horizon, as arcadey as it is compared to the mainline Forza games, still more realistic than what I'd imagine Hot Wheels. Isn't Hot Wheels Unleashed very arcadey and very easy to control?
Yeah, it's very arcadey for sure. I think I don't know. You're right. So I guess the gameplay is going for something different, and I shouldn't judge it against like one of the best racers of all time. Period.
Yeah.
It sounds like you had better vibes off of the Horizon attempt at it than this one.
Yeah. A lot of the tracks look samey. I know you can create your own tracks to make them not look samey, but
they're all orange.
What is this homework assignment you got to do? Yeah, they're all orange and blue, and that's it. It's just if you pay attention to the background, which you don't because you're paying attention to the track, the backgrounds are different when you're driving. And sometimes there's more loops or something. So I feel like I've seen everything the game offered in the first hour, where you unlock each race that you do well in or whatever. You unlock certain things like coins to upgrade your vehicles.
Is there like a campaign that you're doing? Or?
There's a campaign because there's monsters to go over the neighborhood. Hey, you got to race. There's no cutscenes or anything. There's no cutscenes. It's just text.
You sounded like a commercial voiceover guy for Hot Wheels.
Yeah. Race the local monsters on your Hot Wheels track.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a single monster yet, by the way. So
yeah, where are these monsters at?
Or whatever it is, like aliens or something. There's an invasion of some kind.
Welcome to Earth. Hot Wheels.
But I think the most frustrating part is like how much they are purposely driving. No pun intended. I guess some pun intended. They're purposely trying to drive you to buying those microtransactions to get better vehicles, to upgrade your vehicle. I mean, pretty much almost everything like that you would expect out of the game baseline is locked behind a microtransaction.
I'm shocked that they even when you mentioned that there's microtransactions, I was like, how could a $50 game also have microtransactions to upgrade and unlock?
And be getting 9s.
It's pretty common now.
Yeah.
Like people
but the
like
average
on
is
microtransactions all the time.
Sure.
The average is in the 70s. But you're right.
Yeah.
Some major
Oh,
outlets are
is
giving
it okay? I guess I've only seen it. I've read a couple reviews that were not. Well, what's going on with those two guys? You know, but in general, even sevens, like
Those are
that's
getting
pretty.
paid. You know?
That's pretty positive. Like
Yeah.
even in the sevens for a racer with like microtransactions at $50, it just in a very microtransaction anti world I feel like we live in.
Who's the
especially from,
publisher?
like, oh, I don't.
I
Do
don't
we know
remember.
is it EA or Activision?
I
I
can't.
probably
remember.
would have suspected it if it was. So probably not them.
I'm gonna look it up.
Very weird. It's just weird to me. It's
so
weird
the
that this
game
game is getting a lot of
Does
praise.
look
and
good and
sense.
is fun, but if it actually offered like at the ground level offered you a whole like I don't know library of vehicles, that would have been cool. But instead, it's like here are 3 boxes and you open them and those are your vehicles, and it's like 3 of them. That's it, just 3 of them, and then each race you get another box or something like that, or each phase of the campaign you get another box. That you get to open, and it's just a randomized car. It's not like, ooh, cool. If I beat this one, I get this car specifically. Or maybe I just haven't gotten to a race that rewards that. But it's just not. I don't know, man. For $50, I expected at least like a baseline library of vehicles, and we didn't get it. It was just very bizarre. I mean, it's not like I'm not having fun when I'm racing. It's just, how is this $50? That's just the most mind-boggling part.
It sounds like it should have been about Rocket League was 20, right? It was PlayStation Plus first, and then after that, I believe just the regular price was 20, right? If I'm not mistaken.
It's not a full price game, that's for sure. I know that much.
Yeah, Rocket League I think was 20
or
and
30.
then then you had some stuff that you could buy, but like it started at 20, so that seemed reasonable. Even
But the stuff that there wasn't like a full-fledged store right away. They were releasing stuff in these DLC packs that you would buy.
Sure,
for like
Yeah,
sure.
right.
$5.
But now it's free to play, and then if
It
you want,
is, and the cars cost like $20 when they put out a new thing. You get like a
Yeah.
certain amount of credits to
It's like a
spend.
pack, right?
Sounds
One
like
car.
Avengers.
I mean, it's expensive. Yeah. That's
It's
a bummer
really-
to hear
it's
that
really
they do the
unfortunate, yeah.
microtransactions. I fully expected this game to be a very lightweight kind of palate cleanser. I'll spend maybe an hour or 2 total with it, and maybe it's gonna be $20. That was what my mind was thinking when I saw this game even existed. So the fact that it's $50, microtransactions, those 2 things are big disappointments. In general, does it play fine though? Does it play like you expected?
Yeah. I think it delivers in that regard. So I mean,
That's good.
I would still even recommend this on a sale. Like this is a $20 game that they charge $50 for.
Sure.
The $20 game content.
Yeah.
So I mean,
some of the screenshots from like the next gen consoles and PC, they look good.
It looks good. Yeah.
it does.
And it plays good too. It's just everything else is almost the problem. I'm not going to customize my basement or whatever. I'm not going to freaking build tracks. I mean, that's just
sounds
not
like
me.
It will go free to play at some point. They just want to get $50 out of all.
I bet it'll be. This is a type of Game Pass type game.
So the publisher is actually also the developer, so it's basically the same entity. It's a Milestone, and they've predominantly done all of like the MotoGP games, like the dirt bike games.
Those in name, yeah.
Well, those are like motorcycle racing, right?
Yeah,
like
the
high speed
but
motorcycle.
they've done like all of them, like as far back as like.
I played one and it was horrific. So
okay.
But that was
usually
on Switch.
Good,
it was like 99 cents on Switch, and so I grabbed it, and it was horrible. But maybe that was.
I think the ones on like current, like on a PS4, Xbox One, or obviously now PS5, Series XS. I think those generally actually look pretty good. So it probably just used the same engine for Hot Wheels, and that's why that looks pretty decent. So
all this racing game talk reminds me of the very first racing game I played was a young Timmy. That's what I went by, guys. Was Timmy. And it was the year was 1988. It was Christmas. My brother and I it was 88 or 87. It was one of those 2 years. We got an Atari 2600, secondhand, of course, with a big case full of cartridges of games. Our first video game system yet. And the first game that we pulled out, my brother and I started yelling about it. Oh, dude, let's play Grand Prix. This is gonna be awesome.
Grand Prix.
Let's play Grand Prix.
Yeah.
This is gonna be great.
You're a Prix.
Yeah.
Well, you called it Grand Prix for probably 8 years. So
your parents.
I mean, it makes
whatever.
sense. Why would there be an X there and you don't say it at all? It doesn't make any sense.
Not till later do we realize what we were declaring for years and years. So anyway,
people.
all right. I just wanted to share that because it came to mind talking about racing games.
Grand Prix.
I am curious about No More Heroes 3 because it's one of those games that I feel like when it does go on sale, I think it will on the eShop, especially around holiday time. I'm like, ooh, do I grab this? This is the kind of game that I'm curious about, but I'm not a huge fan of the series. Kyle, did you finish this game? Are you far
I
into
did not
it?
beat it, but I got a good chunk of time with it. I will say, it really relies on you being a big fan of this series.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, makes sense.
It is very Suda51 flavored. It's very like I don't know, like it's very like the game he always wanted to make. You know, he's making Takashi Miike references as often as he can. It's just like Suda51 fanboy the video game.
Got it.
So it's just all the things he's ever loved. Saturday morning cartoons.
He's a big fan of himself, is what you're saying.
He's a huge fan. Well, that and just like his goofy like aesthetic and his goofy like comedy sense and stuff like that. Like everything in this game is like totally wild. I will say, the game's very like you're just working to get to the next boss fight. Like there's gonna be little scrimmage fights like where you're fighting like little guys like in a hallway and stuff like that as you're getting to the boss. But like mostly it's these big boss fights.
What
and
is the
every
combat
boss
like? Is it kind of hack and slash, hitting buttons real
yeah,
fast?
yeah, heavy, light, dodge. If you dodge at the last second, you slow down time, so you can do like a Bayonetta style, heavy, heavy combo. Excuse me. There's a lot going on in this game. I think the combat's actually very solid, and I think that the variety of different ways that you're fighting these bosses is amazing. I think it's out of this world, to be frank. So if you're really into like boss rush mode type games, even though there is other fighting, like other enemies and stuff like that, like you're really just biding time until you get to those big boss fights, and it's always supplemented with Suda51's comedy, so whether or not that hits for you or not really relies on your appreciation of the game.
Gotcha.
Or the fun that you're gonna have with it.
Because they put the other two out on Switch too, right? So
yeah, they did. Yeah, and they're cheap. They go on sale all the time. I think they're $20 off sale, and they go on sale for 10 or 15 like often. I've seen it happen. So I really recommend these games if like you like kind of like hack and slashers or whatever. But this game's tough. Like you're gonna die 10 times on a boss just to like figure out like what's going on. Because the mechanics are so wild. You're not just like hacking and slashing during these boss fights. There's a lot of stuff going on. So
got it.
I recommend it. But yeah, Tim, I think you're taking the right path by like if you're just kind of like I'm aware of it. Get it on sale. Because $60 is pretty steep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like one of those trilogies that at some point, just like I did this summer with Mass Effect, and I am still slowly, as I get a chance to get back to it, working through Mass Effect 3, which I do love. There's too many other games that have also come out that I'm distracted by.
I get that.
But I could totally see this being a trilogy that at some point I'm like, you know what? I've got 3 weeks till my next big game comes out. I'm just going to buy the first one. And
yeah, I mean, Mass Effect's a space opera. This is a
it.
game about jerking off your lightsaber. So it's like, there's
a lot of comparison.
Quality's going to vary for sure, but
it will both make you cry. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally understand. All right, well, cool. I might check that one out. If nothing else, any listeners who are hearing this, that it's not just it almost looks like something weird you watch, like an adventure narrative game, but it's not. It's a full-on action video.
It's a very competent action game, I would even say. So,
yeah. Dan, are you playing anything? I didn't see anything on the list that I knew for sure was you. Are you playing anything this week you want to talk about?
Well, so I'm pretty close to finishing Tales of Arise. I'd say definitely less than 5 hours.
How many hours have you gotten into it?
So when I last saved, it said 70. 70 hours. But I mean, I'm the kind of guy that when it's like, all right, I'm enjoying this RPG, I'm gonna do like the side stuff before I get to the end, because I like to beef up and just like demolish the final boss. So but there is like actual more story stuff apparently post credits. I guess that's a pretty common thing with Tales games. I haven't played enough of them to know if that's a thing with them or not. Yeah, it's still, I think, very excellent. I'm glad that I stuck through with this one, because like I've said before, the last Tales game that I played all the way through was Symphonia back on GameCube, and none of the other ones have really grabbed my attention besides Symphonia.
Nice.
So this one I really like for sure.
I've heard
it's cool that it recaptured
couple times from the I've heard a couple times from the group that the ending feels padded. Are you feeling that at all, or?
So There's definitely a lot of exposition in the last 10 hours of the game. So you get to
10 hours. That's an entire game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you basically go to a location and just like a lot of like just like kind of like dropping bombs on you and like unveiling new stuff and like revelations start happening. But it's like you move a little bit and then a cutscene happens. It's like, all right, like this could have been maybe spread out a little bit somehow. Like, I don't know. But it's fine because it's like, again, overall, I still think it's excellent. The cast of characters is great. Their chemistry is good.
Yep.
I definitely feel for them and their situation and sort of what they're going through. So yeah,
They could just go full Xenosaga and just have like 45-minute cutscenes. Remember that game? Like
Xenosaga is such a wild RPG.
They're like, hey, we're gonna give them full on half movies in between.
It was
playing.
like the Metal Gear Solid of RPG.
I was gonna say, yeah, they played a Metal Gear Solid game and they go, we could do that.
Yeah. So I'll have like my final opinions on that on the next episode because I will have finished it. So
we'll wrap it up.
Okay. But I played
on the plate then.
I played a little bit of Mighty Goose.
What is Mighty Goose?
Mighty Goose. It's on Game Pass. So
thanks, Phil.
Yeah.
Our bro Phil gave us another
Let me tell you about Game Pass. It's for poor people. No. So basically it feels like a Metal Slug game, essentially. So if you like Metal Slug, but it's like
Metal Slug.
You're literally a goose, but your arms are and legs are like almost like looks like Mega Man appendages. So like he basically has these giant cannons for arms, but like he has a gun. So like you get different guns and like it's just chaotic. If you've ever played Metal Slug, it's similar to that. So but just with the goofiness of like you're playing a goose. Yeah. It's fun.
It's like a quality Game Pass game.
Yeah.
Like it's meant for Game Pass and you can enjoy it on Game Pass, but if you paid any money for it,
I don't actually know.
Yourself.
I don't know what the actual cost of it is, but I would say this would be worth the $10-15 if that's what it costs. It's pretty fun. It's definitely fun. It's
side-scrolling arcade shooter style.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Interesting.
So.
I did not know that. Looking at the title and the cover art.
I honestly thought it'd be more like Untitled Goose Game. I was like, I think I got.
I thought it was gonna be more like that with more flying or superpowers or something.
I think it's the same goose, but he kind of got tired of just honking at people, so now he's just murdering everybody.
The sequel we all deserved.
So he got tired of
honking at people.
He became a killing machine.
Oh man.
And then I'm just watching Dragon Ball Z, which I mentioned to you guys. So.
I wear my Dragon Ball Z shirt, so
I was about to ask if you're a fan, Kyle, because I know we like anime, but I don't know which animes you like.
I would run home from school to catch an episode of Dragon Ball Z, only to watch Raditz land again and be like, "What the actual?" Yes, I lived that life. That was me. I think Dragon Ball Z is one of the biggest inspirations of just like ridiculous storytelling for me. So.
And gaming too.
Yeah.
Huge. Just like you can see the Matrix Revolution. That whole
movies.
sequence.
The last
Dragon
fight.
Ball Z.
The last fight.
So I mean, like it just echoes through time of being an inspirational piece of work. So even though it's ridiculous, like I'm not trying to call it high art.
No. But that's the thing, though. To be honest, like I think there's definitely animes that I've watched over the years that are overall higher quality.
Yep.
But a lot of them are like so for me, I'm very kind of picky about what animes I watch. Like as far as like long running series, like a Dragon Ball Z or a Naruto.
Shonens are kind of off the table once they reach like over 50 episodes. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna watch a 900 episode thing called One Piece. No, thank you.
but I like to kind of like let it breathe, like give it a bunch of episodes and then. But like, so I tend to watch the ones that are like seasons of like 24 episodes, things like that.
That's what.
But like Dragon Ball Z for me is still, even watching it now, and it is goofy as hell.
Incredibly.
Like it's still my favorite anime of all time. That's just the bottom line.
Mine too. Yeah, just to be honest, just to be like an anime like normie about it. Like I know it's like Dragon Ball Z is my favorite. Like I feel the same way. I feel like it's the first thing that like really hooked me. I go, boy, they're really doing something different over there, you know. And that was my gateway anime drug was Dragon Ball Z. So
to be honest, it's kind of like with Tim and ActRaiser. It's like it is a lot of nostalgia. But like there is something there. Like ActRaiser, like there is something unique there, and it's like if you give it a try and if you're into like those style of games, like it will surprise you if you
Well,
haven't played it
and people
before.
like to, and I make the joke too. It's like, well, they like charge up for like 5 episodes. I'm like, yeah, but
Which
when you
is
binge
true.
that, now, it goes by really fast.
Yeah.
You're
Also,
watching-
also, there's usually a great payoff when they finally unleash.
yeah.
Oh, I tell
Oh,
you,
they-
yeah.
they
And
just
I don't
deserve half
know.
years.
I just remember cheering so hard multiple times. Even watching Super, there were moments where like I'm a 30-year-old man and I'm watching like Goku like Kamehameha skip wave off of an energy blast
yeah.
from some person from a different universe. And I'm like standing up and cheering. I'm like, I'm 30. What's my problem? That's
Well-
how deep Dragon Ball Z like has its hooks in me. Like it's
That's
just,
why I'm rewatching it, Kyle, because I haven't actually watched Super. So like,
Super's
and I haven't
amazing.
watched DBZ since I was in high school. So I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
just gonna rewatch this and then I'll go right into
Are you
Super.
doing Kai or are you doing like
No,
regular?
so they don't have Kai on Funimation. I was actually
Okay.
telling Tim this. You have to like buy the DVDs or Blu-rays.
Mhm.
But it's fine. It is what
I
it
like
is.
I like.
I was
all
actually
200
looking at it in my
I
library.
Yeah.
My
2,000 episodes of that anime. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Unless I looked at it wrong, I think my library has the seasons of Kai on DVD, so I was getting my name in to
Okay.
reserve some of those.
Um,
It is weird that
yeah.
it's not anywhere to stream like on any service. There's so
Yeah,
many
I don't know.
services. You'd think it'd be.
I
Similar.
mean,
the Kai version. I know the regular one is on.
you
I
can,
don't know
you
the DVDs, so
you
I've
can just
never looked.
watch
That's
the
surprising to me
original,
that it's not
Tim, and
available
just
anywhere.
appreciate it for what it is. Like
Yeah.
I said, it is goofy. The filler is extra goofy, but like the moments of just like, yeah, like there's highs and lows as far as like when the payoff happens. Cause like say like Krillin like learning how to do Destructo Disc, right? Like he first uses Destructo Disc, you're like, oh snap, he's about to cut somebody in half, but it's like it doesn't like the episodes build up to like the move and then like well they miss or like they do hit the villain, but the villain's like, I'm gonna go to my next form, ha ha ha, and then like murders a bunch of, so it's like it's never like, oh, they do their crazy move and yeah, it took like 7 episodes and then like everything's cool. It's like, nope, there's like a whole nother level of like nonsense that's about to happen, and they're kind of always to be honest, they're kind of always getting their ass beat, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
things work out in the end more or less, you know.
Yeah, I watched a lot of it. Not all of it by any stretch. I watched a lot of it in my early college. I think it was probably freshman, sophomore year of college, maybe. Especially one summer, I delivered pizza, and my cousin lived with us for one summer. He's a couple years older than me, so he would be working all day. He was doing roofing. I would be working doing pizza stuff. I'd bring home any extra pizza late that night, and he and I would sit there.
Nice.
And I think at that point they were doing back-to-back episodes. We'd watch 2 episodes every night,
Nice.
and so we got through the whole Cell saga doing that.
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Which is
I watched
really
the
good.
whole Cell Saga on
But-
the international channel.
So we
before
liked it
aired
because
here.
it was so silly, and we made fun of it, but loved it at the same time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
That's
weird
Dragon Ball Z.
like-
That's what you do. You make fun
Yeah.
of it, and yeah.
And we would
And-
we would laugh at how silly it was. Like you might have someone get this incredible punch in the gut. Looks like the hand's gonna go through their body, and they're like everything's in slow motion and frozen, and yet they somehow it's some kind of internal monologue. They start like talking about something they remember. Like is
Yeah.
that those kind of moments that are like
Yeah,
what
it's
is
so
That's why anime's the best,
ridiculous.
dude.
Yeah.
Anime's the best.
what is this?
Jeff,
All right,
I'm gonna
well-
need you to watch Dragon Ball Z.
No, that's not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I'm
I
gonna
know.
need you to
not
do
gonna
it.
do it.
Jeff, hey,
I need you
don't.
to do it.
Wrong tree.
He's not
Kyle,
gonna do
Wrong
that.
tree, homie.
Tell
But
him to watch.
back to games. He is gonna play the rest of Kana this weekend and finish it. You've gotten a little farther, I think, Jeff, since last time we talked. What are your thoughts on this game? Is this game exactly what you thought it would be? Is it surprising you?
Well, my weekend's wide open because I beat it.
Oh, you beat it tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
I literally stopped right before the final boss when I told you guys I'd beat it this weekend. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just see what happens. And then I picked it up, and sure enough, 45 minutes later, I beat it.
So you
So-
roll credits on it. What'd you think?
It's really great. My only my only like nitpicks on the game are like some story stuff where like she mentions her father, I think, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's
Don't
there's
spoil
stuff
it for
with
Kyle again.
no, there's
Okay.
no, this isn't really a spoiler. They just don't go into her father's stuff, the lineage of what she does, as much as I expected them to do. But maybe they're trying to leave it open because this is definitely, it could be the start of a franchise if they want to
Who
pursue
was it
that.
last week? Was it Jeff? I forget who it was that said. Maybe it was Dan that said, "Hey, let's prove to Sony how
That's
awesome
what this seems like. This almost seems like an episode 0 for a series. Like it's
I
like the
could see that.
beginnings.
I
You
can
know?
see
And
that
there'll be
because
a
it's
huge
one
Kana game, maybe.
it's
Yeah.
one valley, it's one valley that you're trying to help, I don't know, whatever. Because you're a spirit guide, you're trying to help lost spirits find their
Yeah.
way from our world to the spirit world.
Mm.
So I mean, it's like you're just in one valley. What do you want to call it? Valley, village. So I mean, there could be like another game of just a much more open village that you have to help cleanse, I
Or
guess,
a
or
world
whatever.
even, right? With multiple villages and a big open
Yeah.
space. Like there's a lot you could do.
That's what I loved about the game, honestly, because it's like the developers knew exactly what this what the scale is that they could handle, and they just nailed it completely.
Yeah.
In terms of open world and how you can warp from point to point, if you want to go back and reuse a new ability to get another collectible or something in an area that you couldn't get to that collectible before.
But it's not overwhelming. It's not like so many
No.
areas, you know?
No, I felt like I got to everywhere. Like I literally backtracked and spot checked like bridges that were still up that I haven't shot down with an arrow yet.
Yeah.
I did that, but in the chapter, they're not really chapters, but the third spirit, I guess, the third main spirit that you're looking for relics for. I went backtracked and found all these bridges, shot them down with some arrows, and just looked for more loot or whatever you want to call it, collectibles and stuff like that.
What would you compare this game to for someone who hasn't played it before? Because I've got some thoughts. I'm curious what you think. What would you compare this game to?
I don't know.
Okay, let me just tell you.
I
something
would compare the
you
open
agree
world to I would compare the open world to God of War, because God of War's open world isn't that big. You know what I mean? It is big, but it's not that big. Like it's manageable. And and you have warp points there too. You can,
it's just much longer.
Yes, it is. And it's obviously it's a AAA game, so it's going to be it's like 30-40 hours that game or whatever.
It's pretty lengthy.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's not that, but the map reminded me of that, where it's big enough to make you go, oh whoa, there's a lot to this game.
But there's some guidance there still, even though it's a big map, but they guide you still. Seems like to me.
Yeah.
They give you the map in bite-sized chunks, which is nice. It's like,
they do.
Okay, here's a new area, and I think the biggest area that I think the second area was the biggest. Maybe
it is. It still is. The third area you just plow right through. Honestly, it's pretty short.
The second one I think was pretty big area, but even then, once you kind of start knocking some things out, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't really that large of a space to
right. It's just
I've heard people compare it to Star Fox Adventures, which was of course originally Dinosaur Planet back in the day. And I did like that game a lot. I think it got some hate for whatever reason. I really enjoyed that game way back in the day. I don't know if it holds up. Probably not. But it reminds me of that a little bit. You got some platforming, some puzzling, a few pieces of Zelda here and there. You've got, pretty standard combo system, all of that stuff. So this has all those pieces. I think it's got a little bit of elements of something like Horizon, little bits, like especially when you get the bow and arrow. There's some pieces there, and then there's some armor elements starting with the second area, especially the second boss. That kind of reminded me a little bit of Horizon, the way you have to like create weaknesses in your enemies, and so I think they use pieces from a couple different games, right?
I would agree with that. It definitely uses that boss thing. What was the game you were just talking about?
Star Fox Adventure.
No More Heroes, maybe, where the boss fights are a little more involved than just hack and slash, especially in the third part where you have enemies that are introduced that require you to use a new ability you just got. So you have to figure out how to use that first and then start meleeing, and especially the last boss battle, there's a lot of like weak point targeting and stuff like that. So I mean the boss fights are definitely a little more involved. I had it on easy, so I mean didn't take me long to beat, obviously, but if you had it on normal, this will definitely satiate, I guess.
Yeah, I'm playing on normal in that.
The people that like that.
There was one. I think it was the first main. There's like, how many did you say? 15, 16 bosses total?
16 total bosses, yeah.
Wow.
The first main one, which is probably like 5 or 6 bosses in. There's like the first main one. I found that one to be much tougher because there wasn't like, there's a pattern you have to figure out and that helps you defeat him. But I died a bunch. I'm playing it on normal and I did die a few times, and I was like, this is a little frustrating for a game that shouldn't be this frustrating.
You'll die. There's some that you'll die a lot, especially in the third one, the third spirit, where you have the bosses the relic bosses. Let's call them that. The ones you get the relics from. They each have their own like quirk or attack that's just so freaking annoying that you have to figure out how to dodge it correctly. Sometimes you get a fourth ability, one you can't really upgrade. You just get it. You have to use it sometimes to dodge too. And
there was one relic boss who
challenging.
I just forgot to use my bow and arrow, and so I'm trying to fight him melee, and it was taking me I'd get him down to like a certain amount of health, and I would die every time. I think I died like 7 times, and I was like, I might quit this game. I was getting so mad, and then I just started doing like a lot of kiting around, making him chase me and using my bow and arrow, and it actually wasn't that difficult So I was like, oh, I feel stupid.
I think we both encountered the same cursed chest that required you to beat 30 enemies in a minute or something, a minute and 15 seconds.
Pass.
So definitely go back when you have a full, like I think you can get 4 circles of courage for your rot, your companions, and definitely use those companions on the things that are flying around.
Oh, can we just say that when you
just
find
take them down completely, and
when
you
you
don't have to
find
worry
a
about
new
it.
little buddy, those little rot, which is a dumb name for something so cute, but those
It
little
is.
those little they're like beanie babies. They're just so stinking cute. Every time you find one, it always makes me smile. They're always so adorable. Usually it's
adorable.
the same little animation. They pop up from under a rock or whatever. But sometimes it's something creative, like they come out of a pumpkin or like in a little pond with some frogs.
That's
like
adorable.
there's some really cute ones. I'll be honest with you.
I
This
love
game is
the hats
freaking
are just
adorable.
so ridiculous too, and makes it even more adorable. Like putting a birthday cake on their head is just the dumbest thing you could possibly do. in
Or
a
like
game that.
there's like a little helicopter spinning wheel you could put on. There's all kinds of cool.
I like
Pancakes.
that.
And there's some really
Pancakes in the
cool
second area.
masks. Yeah, this game is really adorable, and at the same time, I'll just say in general, very emotional too. Like it ties in some really strong themes of love and loss and family and all kinds of stuff. It's
Something that really struck me in the finale too was the score is so cinematic, like so next level freaking good. Belongs in a movie for a developer that I would not consider to be AAA. I mean, I don't even know who this developer is. So, and it's definitely not a full price game. So it's obviously not like a $60, $70 game.
That's what they started with, right? Weren't they making short films and then
They're making short films?
This is their first.
So maybe they had a connection. They had a composer connection or something like that, because the music is just one of the best scores I've heard all year. It's just so amazing at the end, especially.
Yeah, this music has. I'm so glad you said that because I had forgotten that point. But as I was playing, I thought the same thing, especially with headphones in. I was like, dude, this is
Even just the
gorgeous.
passive walking around music. I'm like,
the only other game
going on here.
The only other game this year that's done that to me. Well, there's been a few games that have had really good music, but the only one that kind of struck me that I was expecting something like Artful Escape to have good music, and it does. A game like Kana, I wasn't expecting the music to be this good and kind of catch my attention. And also Death's Door. Those are the two soundtracks that kind of made me sit up and go like, why is this so good?
Death's Door is very unique. Yeah, I do like that one.
So good. So good.
They're just paying more attention to that sort of thing. You know, the soundtrack, a really good song, like during a really like powerful moment or intense moment, is gonna make you remember that moment even more. It
drove home the finale of Kana for me completely. Like it almost like made it one of the best third acts I've played this year. Like seriously, just because of how powerful that music was, and it drove it home.
Yeah, that's not saying much though, because it's been a mediocre year, right, Jeff?
As far as third acts go, I guess so.
We'll get to that. I'm just teasing it. We'll get to that.
Hey, we're only halfway there, so
I am both surprised and not even a little bit surprised that Kyle has gotten as far as he's gotten in Lost Judgment. We all knew he was excited for this game. He loves the Yakuza games. He loved Judgment, and this was easily one of the most hyped games he's been talking about it this summer. And I was very much looking forward to his take on it. And so, Kyle, now that you've gotten more time into it, I think you said you might be close to the end. What are your thoughts? Is this hold up? Is it better than the original? Is it just exactly what you expected? What do you think?
You know, I had no idea. You watch the trailers and I go, well, you can walk dogs and you go to school and this is wild. Like it just seems like there's a lot going on in this game. So when I was playing
it, two of the most boring examples of things to do. Wait, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it sounds boring.
No, in a video game, it's awesome.
In a video game, it's great. Have you ever walked a dog in a video game? It's amazing.
Well, not since Nintendogs.
Yeah. Well, this one, it's your crime fighting buddy, so like he can sniff out like clues. And...
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
It's pretty dope.
Far Cry 6
Cody right there.
Anyways, I don't know. I'm playing this game at the beginning and I'm starting it. And I would say the first 4 hours of this game, it's a lot of like, hey, here's a lot of preteen problems and here's a lot of like this, and it's a lot.
I'm still there.
They're unpacking a lot of that at the beginning, and you're like,
you're still there in the game, or you still have preteen problems now as a human being?
You want me to be truthful, or do you want me to stay on topic?
I don't want to answer that.
Keep going. Sorry, keep going.
Anyways, so it's really, I see a lot of it in the group too, where it's like, boy, yeah, it's a little slow start. It is absolutely a slow burn at the beginning, but like all this time you spend doing these weird things that don't feel like a Yakuza game pay off in big ways later in the story. You are spending a lot of time at a high school. Like I said last week, you are beating up a lot of teens. But
The
you're
dream.
also
By the way, as an
But
adult.
to be fair though,
as
they're
an
like
adult, you're a
6 feet.
8-year-old man.
Yeah,
You're just
yeah,
coming
you're-
to school. You're like, I'm a teacher, and like beating them up. It's crazy.
They're like
Uh,
6 or 7 feet tall though. I mean, let's be honest. They're like rugby players.
Yeah.
It's not even
These
fair.
kids are really buff and really.
Doesn't
like,
matter.
some of them put up a good
Hilarious.
fight too.
Hilarious.
Let's see how
Anyways,
the judge thinks of that. They were really buff.
these 16-year-olds were like built like 24-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, it is a slow burn, but like some stuff starts happening in the cases, and there's so many things to do in this game that like I think this is the most things you could ever do in a Yakuza game. I feel like there's more things to do in this game than ever before. It's kind of insane. I'm still like finding new things where I'm like, well, there's a biker gang club. Let's join that, and now I'm building those like, what are those Japanese like bikes called?
The ninja bikes, like Kawasaki's.
No, these are like the ones with like the giant like handlebars and
They're up here.
Yeah. Like they're like biker gangs that are like I forget what these bikes are called, but anyways, like I just joined one of those and like have to infiltrate and like solve a case here and like everything.
We just revealed to all of our listeners how non-manly we are because we don't know anything about motorcycles.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
like
know the
boom,
name. It's just not entering my brain. I know
What,
what
Harley
the
Davidson's?
G, I think, or G.
Well,
or
I mean,
J.
Harley is a company, but there's
Right.
like a style. There's a name for that style, like where the handlebars are up here. The name is escaping me.
I
right
call
now.
it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No
Not
way those are
comfy.
comfortable.
Anyways, I feel like this game is just ridiculous. I feel like it's more Yakuza than the Last Judgment was in terms of just like there's a lot of just silliness going on. So there's a lot of vibe whiplash, but that's like what the Yakuza's all about. It's like, well, I just did something really heartbreaking with like a 3-year-old girl who was lost from her mother, and now I'm beating up people like grown men in diapers.
I'm beating up that 3-year-old.
Yeah, and now I'm beating up that 3-year-old. There's a lot of whiplash emotions, but I feel like they always like carve the way really, really well, and I feel like this is like them at their best. I feel like the combat's at its best. I feel like everything in this game is at its best. It's surprisingly amazing looking. My roommate came down and was like, whoa, this game looks great. I was like, yeah, it's not what these games are known for. They're not known to be looking great,
No,
but
it does look great.
It's a very
On
sharp
PS5,
looking
on our
game.
TVs, yeah.
Yeah, big time. So I don't know. I have nothing but great things to say about this game. People who are big fans who are like struggling at the beginning. I'm not saying I was struggling, but just know that there's a reason why you're doing all these like menial tasks.
I figured there was, yeah.
And then they become big plot points later. You're meeting all these people and doing all these things for a reason, and it feels very Persona at moments for people who like those social links, weird stuff.
Okay.
Never saw that coming.
Yeah,
Huh?
Persona
Huh?
making big riffs, huh?
No, I was referencing the song, Kyle. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
You never see them coming. No.
Oh yeah, that's the song. Yeah,
It is a good song.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I own that whole CD and I didn't recognize the bit
Sorry,
that you were doing.
I didn't sing it because I'm not Jeff. I'm not talent. So
Take it away, Jeff. You know the song. I know you do.
Hey, here we go.
Anyways, I
unusual.
could go on and on about this game, but for time's sake, just I think it's amazing, and it's definitely going to be a game of the year contender that I will bring up to you guys one time, and you guys will go, "Didn't play it," and then we'll not
hell
talk
no.
about it.
You know,
again.
I hope that they
I'm
figure
playing
out.
this game for sure.
I hope they figure out the whole fiasco with like the actor and all that nonsense.
I really
'cause,
do
like,
too.
This
It
needs to
scares
keep
me.
going.
That stuff scares me. That
I
hey,
haven't heard
this is.
anything
so
on that. Is
disappointing.
that just kind of stuff?
I don't know how that got
Yeah.
resolved or if it did, to be honest.
News travels slow. I think the boat is still coming over to carry the news.
It's
from-
actually the boat's actually
Yes.
in the harbor right now, and it can't park because that's a very
They
real issue.
they unplugged
right
their
now.
internet. So
I meant to
Wi-Fi.
ask. So Kyle, you played like a dragon, right? And did
Yeah.
you beat it?
I did, yeah.
You did beat it. So I don't remember because I got pretty far in the game. I felt like I did. Not like near the end or anything, but I don't remember there being as much stuff to do that Lost Judgment has, which is kind of crazy.
No,
Because I expect those in a Yakuza game, not.
In fact, Like a Dragon had a lot of like no extra like huge things that you're doing on this. You're doing side stuff, but there's not like this vast amount of like game mechanic changing activities, if I can call it that.
I don't recall that. Yeah.
Maybe there was 2 or 3, but this game has like 12.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
So cool.
I also just like that we're doing that city from Like a Dragon. We're doing it in this format of game, and that feels really cool. Like, I get to fight in these areas without it being turn-based, and it just like, I don't know, that
That's
feels
cool.
really nice. It's cool
And
that they built that
skateboarding
whole
from
map.
fight to fight.
Yeah, skateboarding's amazing still. Skateboarding club is amazing.
Ooh.
Join that club immediately.
So I was
Lots
going to
of
ask you,
grinding,
Get my
lots
Tony
of sick
Hawk on.
tricks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you after Like a Dragon, which of course was both critically, commercially, and fan-wise received very, very well, or folks who didn't know the series like myself, who really enjoyed the time I played with it. I had at some point plan on playing it more. That always happens to me with those big lengthy games that aren't my
hard, man.
favorite, but I like Tales of
Yeah.
Arise, Like a Dragon. I like these games, but then I'm like, well, it's probably like third or fourth on my list of what I'd rather play any
I
given
feel you.
moment. That's all. I mean, it's not an insult to it. It's just it's
No,
not my favorite
I
genre.
know what it feels like to look at the time frame like as an uphill battle. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, I'm not
That's- so
like
when
he was talking
something-
about Tales. Like I played 70 hours, and I'm like, I'm never gonna have time for that. Like,
Yeah.
You don't have to do.
and
the
I'm
side-
loving
as
that
much side
game. I think
stuff,
it's
but-
amazing.
So which combat do you prefer at this point? Now that you've seen. played
Oh,
both?
don't make me choose. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I think I always prefer like the beat 'em up style, like the Judgment is, because
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
said in chat, I was like, this feels like the
like the
natural
action.
progression
Yeah.
of like the 2D beat 'em up. Like, you know, this is 3D Double Dragon. This is 3D River City Ransom. That's all this series is. You're going to stores, you're buying items that like beef yourself up. You buy items. It's literally River City Ransom, but at 3D. So like I
Yeah.
like that. But like I thought that changing it to turn-based worked better than I ever imagined it ever would. So
Worked
like
great.
I think
Yeah.
that there's always going to be
I thought
room
I would
for
hate
both.
it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
great.
Yeah, I thought I think there's always going to be room for both. But if you're asking me
was-
to choose a baby, I think it's going to be the beat 'em up style.
I gotta tell you,
so.
the turn-based combat in Like a Dragon, I thought it was better than Persona 5, which people love so much. Like I
Wow.
thought, yeah, I did personally. And I like turn-based RPGs. I do.
Yeah,
but
same
I
here,
just-
and I gotta be honest. I love Persona 5. I think the turn-based and Yakuza 7 is amazing. I think it's like top tier. It's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels actiony while you're choosing stuff.
that's
Yeah,
what
Persona
I like.
does that too, but I think things feel like they're always going on. Like you're not just standing there in a menu.
Well, they do that like combined flashy move, like at a certain point. I forget what triggers that, but like I think they need kind of more stuff like that with like
Yep.
in the future sequels. You know,
Yep.
kind of more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Well, I do want to talk about the new Netflix show Midnight Mass that I only started watching because of Jeff. So annoying. He's like, this show is bonkers, and I'm like, well, what's bonkers about it? So I started watching.
Well, what's bonkers?
Um,
Yeah, because I couldn't tell you. You have to find out on
You
your
have to
own.
watch it, yeah.
Yeah.
So we will keep it completely spoiler free. Well, I can't say completely because Jeff's going to talk about it, but as spoiler free as we can.
Wow.
No?
Shots
No?
fired.
No? Okay. All right.
Man,
Sorry.
Tim has been like just such an angry dad about spoilers the past few days. Huh?
I've got a lot of thoughts.
Channing Tatum's in this show.
Channing Tatum.
No, shut up.
Actually, you know what? He's right behind Jeff. Channing, get on in here.
Is Willem
Alright,
That
Dafoe
should be
in
my
there too?
background for all shows now.
Between Channing Tatum and Willem Dafoe, those are our two celebrity mascots for the show. All right, so totally kidding, of course. It's actually thanks to Jeff that I even tried the show, and it didn't like jump out at me as something I have to watch. I did like the artwork. The artwork had a bit of a Stranger Things vibe. I mentioned that
Yeah,
before.
it does.
Recording.
Yeah.
And
Did you watch the trailer?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I did either. I just
All
knew
I
that it
saw
was.
was the-
I
knew
did,
that
and
it
it
was.
didn't ruin anything. In fact, it misled you.
the
It
only
I
did.
thought
thing
was amazing.
From
The
what
only
I
thing
hear,
I
it
knew
did. Yeah.
was the picture behind you, Jeff, with that actor. I forget his name. Who's playing
Hamish Linklater, I think.
yeah, he's playing the
Hamish, yeah.
priest or the pastor. He I recognized him right away,
did
like
too. Mhm.
because his face was the biggest on the little poster thing, and he was in that show, The Adventures of New Old Christine, or whatever that show is called, with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was.
My wife had watched that show, and he's the brother on there, and he's got great dry delivery. It worked for a live crowd sitcom. It worked fine.
Mhm.
So anyway, he's the only one I recognized. Once the show started, I realized right away it's got an actor who I really liked a lot back in Friday Night Lights days.
Oh,
Clear Eyes.
Riley.
Clear
the
Eyes,
main-
Full Hearts, Can't Lose.
Yeah.
And it's a great show, by the way. Like it's a little teen soap opera-y, admittedly, maybe a lot teen soap opera-y, but it's still really, really good.
I've heard.
Anyway,
I've been meaning to watch that.
Zach Gilford is his name. He's really, really good. I hadn't seen him in much else until this. So anyway, I just wanted to say thanks for the recommendation. It is very good. I don't have a ton to say about it outside of saying if you like mystery thrillers with a good dose of horror as well, not throughout, but certainly it's there. There's a lot to love here. There's a lot.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah. So, but you guys want to say anything about it? I mean, I don't want to dig too much into it.
No, for sure. I'll keep it as almost as vague as you. Is that I was just hyped on this purely based on Mike Flanagan, who wrote and well, I don't know if he wrote solely, but he wrote for sure on and directed Dr. Sleep, and he did Haunting of Hill House, and Bly Manor, of course, the follow up.
And his wife is in this and in most of those too.
Yeah, she's in Hush as well, which is like the first movie of his that I saw that I was like, whoa. And believe it or not, there's a scene in Hush where his wife, I think they were just dating at the time or whatever, but his wife plays the lead in that. She plays like a deaf girl, but she's an author. And one of her friends comes by and is like, I read your new book. And she shows it to her, and it says Midnight Mass on it. And she's like, oh my God. I love what happens with Riley and Aaron, which are the two like kind of the main characters in Night Mass. Yeah, he literally name drops.
This movie is what, like 10? That's like 10 years old.
This movie came out like 2014 or 15 or something.
So he had this in his back pocket for sure.
Yeah, this feels like a passion project if there ever was.
Is this based on some? It looks very graphic novel based or something. Is it?
I don't think. I think this is Brain Baby.
Like Preacher. This is very preachery. The graphic novel Preacher, but Preacher is more comedy, and this one's more obviously it's more serious and dramatic.
Yeah.
More about the characters and stuff.
There are a lot of long, I mean, I'm talking very lengthy monologues where characters will talk, and other
There's
characters.
a whole episode that's like a monologue.
And other characters will very intently listen to them, and the way he directs it, it usually starts with the two of them talking. And I saw there's probably been 8 scenes like this. That's why it jumps out at me.
Yeah.
And it'll have both of them talking, and then it will show the other person from like mid distance, maybe 10 feet away, and then it just does a slow zoom while they talk. It doesn't cut. They just keep going. It gets really, it keeps going. I'm talking for several minutes at a time.
That takes some endurance as an actor if you got to pull that off in front of a camera.
And there's a lot of
good memory.
A lot of long shots. A really lot of long shots as they're going through town. A lot of like backward walking, like the camera's going backwards, obviously, and the actors walking towards it. And there's like so few cuts in a lot of those scenes. That kept jumping out at me, like, dude, these actors.
Have you seen Haunting of Hill House? Because there's one episode where
you would like that,
yeah, it's along the same lines where it's more character-driven horror-ish type stuff.
Is Rahul Kohli in that too?
No, but he's in the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one has that one has a single episode in it where it's just all one take. Obviously, there's like a few cuts in there, but the illusion is it's all one take.
Yeah.
And it's just this dude just loves doing camera tricks with his stuff, and it helps.
You should really watch Hill House. I think you.
Yeah, I'm going to now because I really enjoyed this a lot. I loved the direction, I loved the writing, and I loved the acting.
Yeah, the writing was top notch, especially for the religious stuff that they handled.
I like how just in general very character focused it was, and mostly grounded, and of course not always grounded, but mostly grounded.
Yeah.
And when they did go there, I would say it wasn't like they obviously didn't have the biggest budget ever for some special effects and makeup type stuff, but overall it's still they did a great job.
I think the thing you mentioned the budget thing, and I feel like you're right, but at the same time he saw that budget as like I feel like a challenge, and he still sold it. He still sold the horror of it, a situation, without needing to do the horror.
I feel like
gore.
I could,
you know what I mean? Like I felt anxiety watching some of those horror scenes.
Yeah.
So he nailed it completely. With
I feel like I know where people like. I could probably map out that town for you after watching that show. Like it was really
exactly. Yeah. We were Jeff brought it up that it felt very Life is Strange, like True Colorsy, where it's like
dude, I thought
it's a town, it's a street, maybe 3 streets. That's how big it is. You know, and it's all right there.
This seems like a really good Telltale game. As I was playing, I was like, or like a Wolf Among Us type of a thing, where not at all like the same storyline, but like the same vibe of these characters. It's a very lived-in town with tons of rich history and a lot of brokenness and a lot of bitterness. And
you see the actors as the characters. That's when you know the writing and the character work, at least in terms of the small town, is like really good. When you forget who the actor is and you're like, oh holy crap, that's fine.
I didn't even know that was Elliot from E.T. until like 3 episodes in. I'm like, oh, that's that actor that's in all of these shows. Like, wow, like
he's in Dr. Sleep as Jack Nicholson.
So much
holy
like
crap.
old man makeup, like it's
apparently he's in a lot of Flanagan's stuff.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
He is in
ever
all
since Hill House. I think he's been in all of everything. I
And
get
I'm
it though.
pretty
He's
sure-
great.
Was that the same guy? I think he might have been Leo's friend in The Gangs of New York too. I could be wrong. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
all right. Well, that's a great show. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's my favorite of. I've seen hundreds of shows.
7 episodes.
I've seen
really easy.
dozens.
and
it's
this
favorite.
is definitely my favorite.
Not
Dozens.
hundreds, but dozens.
I've seen 2. All right, let's talk about our favorite games of the year so far. Before we do that, I want to talk to you guys about what Metacritic says the best games of the year are so far. I won't spend a lot of time on each. Instead, we'll give you each a couple minutes to share your favorites. But I did want to go through this list, and I'll go through it quickly because it's lengthy. But I wanted to go through the list of games that Metacritic has ranked either right at. I added a couple that were just below 80 and up, and we'll work our way up. You know what's interesting is as I look at all these, there weren't a whole lot that seemed to me, at least if you looked at the list, but without knowing the scores, that seemed like home run. Everyone's gonna love this game. We were talking about this a little bit.
There was one at the midway point of the year where I played it and I was like, oh, this is not for me at all.
Yeah.
So I didn't get it at all when they were
I'm
like
with you.
95 or what. It was one of the highest rated ones, and I was like, how? It's crazy.
It's also been a year that's been very heavy with remasters and collections and re-releases, and in some cases full-on remakes, like ActRaiser, for example.
Still feeling the COVID after effect, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so too.
absolutely.
I think you're right. And so, but it's been a great year for that. I know we've all talked about that at various times about, hey, I'm catching up on this series, or I'm replaying this, or I'm finally getting around to this game that I've been skipping for so long. So it's been, and I'm not even trying to sugarcoat it, it's been nice for that purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's been a bad year for new games. It's just been a really strange one.
Yeah.
I'm just glad there are new games. Like, we could have had a year where there was hardly anything coming out because no one could work on anything, and that wouldn't have been that surprising. But we have had quite a few. So let me work my way up, starting down here. Let's see, Scarlet Nexus at 79. And by the way, the number I'm reading off is the Metacritic average. So they take all the scores and do the best they can to slap whatever those outlet scores are onto a 100-point scale if they can. So Scarlet Nexus at 79. Here's some others with 79. Road 96. Olija, how do you say that one?
Olia, something like
Okay.
that.
Alicia.
It's good. It's good though.
Lost Words Beyond the Page, which is on Game Pass now. Curse of the Dead Gods and Chris Tales and Blaster Master 03 all got 79s along with Axiom Verge 2.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, which is, by the way, to
Some
me,
good
that's
games in there. I'll be
some
honest.
good stuff here. Oh, and the one that I did skip because it was at 78 was 12 minutes, but we'll talk about that one more.
Son of a bee.
Dude, Willem Dafoe alone is like 96 points. I mean, come on. It's like
whatever else is going on, it's at 96
like,
starter.
Yeah, minimum 96, right? Like,
Godspeed, McAvoy.
Well, at 80, we've got East 9, Monstrum Nox. I don't understand any of those words.
Okay.
Asian stuff, probably.
Asian stuff. The game.
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know.
Unbound Worlds Apart, Skull,
Cool game. That's a cool game.
Skull the Hero Slayer, new Pokemon Snap, Humankind, Habroxia 2, Fist, Forged in the Shadow Torch, and Eldest Souls all got 80s. I played a few of those. And
Fist
those
is good.
that's right about where they should be, in my opinion, for the ones I played. Humankind is very much a Civilization or buff with their own spin on things. So if you like Civilization, you'll love Humankind. If you don't, you will not like it. 81, Dodgeball Academia. Didn't like it. That's a little high, in my opinion, for that game.
Wow.
So
wasn't that one of the ones that Kyle
Incredibly
turned off?
high.
Yeah.
So I actually played that on my whole, like, just playing a bunch of Game Pass games
stuff,
when I
yeah.
first got my so I played about an hour of it. I actually really like it. I just haven't gotten back to it.
Dan's one of the 80s.
This is how Jeff feels all the time.
You
how
know
I'm
what?
feeling
I
right
think
now.
I think the issue is you guys are just bad at it. That's really
No,
what it
you know what
is,
the
so.
issue is? It's a bad game. That's what the
Ooh.
issue is.
Yep.
It's Dragon Ball Z dodgeball. Like that's what it
No,
is.
it's bad.
I don't like the art style, and I didn't think the gameplay was fun.
I see. Well,
Other than that,
Yeah.
it was great.
other than that, it was
That
great.
being said,
So the music,
memorable.
Other than that, 7 out of 10.
so the music is phenomenal.
That reminds me of Bill Burr's bit where he talks about how his wife has nothing to complain about. He's making money. He's a good dad.
Yeah,
He's not,
yeah.
he's being faithful. Like all these good things. He's like, the only thing she has against me is who I am as a person. That's all she has.
Once I fix that, I'm good.
All right. Genesis Noir is at an 81, along with
Oh,
Kana,
huh.
Kana Bridge of Spirits, MLB The
Dang.
Show 21, Toem. I've never heard of Vesper. Don't know what that is. And Rogue Heroes. And I mistyped this when I first glanced at it. It's Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tassos. And I wrote Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tacos. And I really wanted to play it because I thought that
Yeah.
sounded
Oh
nice.
man,
Sounds way
you gotta
better.
like
your game sounds more
platform
fun.
around
so.
the makings of a taco.
It
Yeah.
sounds like Guacamelee, really. You should just play
It
Guacamelee.
sounded like a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs type of a game, and I was all in, but that's not what it is. In the 82 rankings, we've got The Artful Escape, Smelter, Neo, The World Ends With You, Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, Loop Hero, Grime, Dreamscaper, and Cyber Shadow. I played a lot of those, and
Yeah, same here.
I liked all of them that I played. So yeah, there's some really solid ones in there.
Mm-hmm.
83, we've got Sunlight, which I've heard is really good. It's like a narrative adventure type of a game. So not for everybody, but I've heard Sunlight's really good.
Okay.
Subnautica Below Zero, Omno. How does that got an 83? I don't like Omno,
How
but
do I not remember this? This sounds so familiar. And
Super
I'm pretty
slow
sure I played it and
platform,
hated
right?
it.
you tried
I
it
think you
just like
did-
I did.
Yeah, I
and
think
di-
you
and
brought
Oh.
it up and didn't like
uninstalled.
it.
Oh, that's right. It's one of the most nothing games out there. That's right. That's right. There's like nothing going on in it. Yeah.
not
Okay.
good. Lost in
Crap.
Random, which I still haven't tried, but I want to. It
Yeah.
looks so cool.
I
That-
bought
that
it.
does look
Need to
good.
play it. Yeah.
Yeah, the art style on that looks amazing. Little Nightmares 2, also a good looking game.
Great.
I've heard it's
It's
good.
great. Yeah.
Knockout City, I think, was kind of a surprise Fortnite type of a.
Still gotta play
Multiplayer.
it. Yeah.
And then I think it's pronounced Kaze and the Wild Masks, or is it Kaze and the Wild Masks? I'm not sure. That game looks awesome. So I was watching a
Hmm.
video of this game. It's a side-scrolling kind of mascot platformer, side-scrolling game. You know, a little bit Disney throwback. It's what I think Balan Wonderworld should have done. They should have just done a colorful side-scrolling adventure platformer game.
Look at that. Yeah.
But-
This reminds me of like Sega Genesis games, but
Absolutely.
like looks great.
You know what? Is it okay.
Kaze
I-
or
They're like a
Kaze?
rabbit or something.
Yeah,
Wild
yeah, yeah,
Masks.
yeah, yeah.
cool.
No, I seen that when I showed it to Renee because it basically is like Sonic, but like
Yeah.
a little bit different, obviously.
It looks
Yeah.
like a fun one. I haven't
It
tried it
has
though.
Sega vibes, yeah.
And also at 83 is Lost Judgment. So
Oh, all
apparently that's
right.
pretty. Is that a little low for that kind?
Interesting scores. Like, yeah, like 12 minutes being so low, and that's whatever. It's-
I don't know. Yeah, a lot of the reviews I read were pretty glowing, but I don't know. It's not gonna be. I feel like Yakuza and Judgment are just not for everybody. It's very
it's
not.
that's
particular.
I wonder what the average would be if you just looked at reviews of folks who understand and enjoy that series. Then take the average. It's probably much higher.
Probably higher
Probably.
80s, low 90s.
Yeah.
At 84, we had some heavy hitters actually. So we'll start with some of the lesser known ones. Astalon, Tears of the Earth. I never know how to pronounce this one. Atelier Ryza 2.
Atelier? Yeah, Atelier Ryza, yeah.
Ryza 2, Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy. It's a long time.
Didn't even realize the second one came out.
Eastward, which I can confirm is deserving of its 84.
Great.
That's a good
Great.
game. Griftlands, which I need to play. That's the people who made Mark of the Ninja, and I need to play Griftlands.
Oh,
It looks
what?
like fun.
I did not know they came out with a new game. All
Yeah,
right.
I need to play Griftlands. Life is Strange True Colors, also with an 84. Persona 5 Strikers. I gotta be honest, forgot that came out this year. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
thought
played
that was
20
on my
hours of it,
computer.
and I forgot it came out this year. To be honest,
I totally forgot.
and I love that game. That's no
Yeah.
knock. I think it's awesome.
yeah, I've heard visuals, especially on like on PCs or higher end consoles. I heard it looked great. Just not the Switch. That's what I heard. And then Resident Evil Village, also with the 84. So a whole bunch of really solid ones right
Yeah.
there in the 84 ranking. All right, 85, just a couple of those. We've got Chivalry 2, Ender Lilies, Quietest of the Nights, and Returnal. Oh, and Umurangi Generation, my favorite. All
Better
eight.
than Returnal,
You're
for
a
sure.
liar. Such a liar.
Return what?
I don't even know what that is.
no, I felt like you just made that up.
No, it's real. Umurangi Generation. Look it up. Came out on Switch and PC, I think.
Okay.
I don't know why it exists.
Asian stuff.
Whatever.
At 86, now we're starting to get to some of the higher. Now we're into the top 20 range here with 86, almost the top 20. The Forgotten City, Tales of Iron, Sumair, and Bustafellows, all at 86.
Forgotten City is good stuff.
Sumair looks cool too. You guys should check that out one if you haven't. Sumire. It's kind of a well, just look it up. It's very unique looking. I think it's an adventure game, kind of indie style adventure
Cool.
narrative game. But I've heard it's really good. 87. There is no game, Wrong Dimension. I think that is actually the sequel. That's why I included it, but it might be a re-release.
Hmm.
I think It's a sequel to There Is No Game. Tales of Arise, Overboard,
Yeah.
Hitman 3, Guilty Gear Strive, and Death's Door all have 87s on Metacritic. Which they're within 4 points of the lead. So these are all like, we're talking about the top tier according to Metacritic. Who cares about scores, right?
I really want to play Strive. I just want to make that known.
That looks amazing. Like the
I will
visuals.
never play that game online. I will never play that game with anybody because I don't have anybody over it ever. And I know I'll just play a few rounds and go, yeah, I still like this because I played that game all the time, like back in the day. But I just
art style on those games is always pretty, and this one
that's such a $20 game to me, in terms of like how much I'm gonna get out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At the 88 range, we have Before I Forget, Deathloop, F1 2021, that racing game, Formula racing game, Monster Hunter Rise, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Wilder Myth, which, if you haven't checked that one out, it's on PC. Wilder Myth looks amazing. It's one word, Wilder, and then Myth. Those are all at 88. The ones I've played of those, Monster Hunter Rise, Ratchet and Clank, Deathloop, I think they're all deserving of all the praise they get. Even if I won't have them that high on my personal lists necessarily, I still like them all a lot. They're really good. I don't know about Deathloop. The jury's still out on that one. I've liked what I've played so far, but to be fair, I haven't gone back to it after my first. I think I played it like 2 hours, like a 2-hour session when I first had access to it. And
I gotta be honest. I was gonna say I gotta be honest. Like it really relied on one of you guys going, "This might be my favorite game of the year." For me to even play this game.
I'm just trying to finish Tales, and then I'm gonna hop right into and mainly focus on Deathloop right after.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I watched some stuff from Adam Susser and a couple other people who were more explaining about like how you're never actually on a time limit. Like the game is not as like.
Yeah, no.
As it sounds
basically, like the 4 different times, like if you're doing the morning section, like it's not on a timer. Like you have to get to a certain thing.
If you stand there, you're not going to just die.
It's just infinite. But then once you get back to the door, then it goes to the next section of the day. So
and I heard some stuff about how you choose like a piece of like the mission from like the menu.
Yeah.
And, like it'll actually put like a waypoint like on your. So like you always have direction. You're never just like aiming.
There's a bit more choice in the moment of depending on what part of the day you're playing.
Anyway, I'm waiting for one of you guys to be like, it's amazing for me to buy it because I'm not gonna pay $60 for this game when I know
I'll let you know, Kyle.
Games are too smart for me. Please do. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the top 5 are a little underwhelming just in terms of like, I think how recognizable they are, as well as how much I know from our panel here, our team, that we haven't really played a lot of these except for one. So you've got Synthrider's VR game at number 5 at 89.
Really?
People loved Synthriders for PSVR. It Takes Two.
Oh, okay.
Damn, Colin, I still got to play that. But
come on, man. When are we going to do it, dude?
We got to do it before GOTY for sure. For GOTY.
Yeah, for sure.
I played about 3 hours, maybe 4 of that with my wife.
I played an hour, and
it's really fun.
I thought it was amazing. I thought that first hour where I was like, get out of here. Like, I think there were so many clever uses of co-op.
Well, even just the whole premise of it, and if you haven't looked it up, I won't spoil it for anyone who's listening, I guess, but the premise of it's very interesting. The relationship, family dynamic that even the whole setup is like, this is an interesting and a little bit of a dark take.
This guy's a dark guy, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. Made Brothers. Play that game.
I'm kidding.
Also at 89, so those two are both 89. Also at 89 is Fuga Melodies of Steel, the game that I still am like on the verge of buying. I just haven't done it yet. It's like $40. It's a furry game, guys. Go take a look at it.
I think I got my fill this year.
Gaston, where's Gaston? Please.
After playing Backbone, I think I'm good on furries for this year. Maybe
I'm good. Yeah, I have Backbone, Fist, and I beat Ratchet and Clank. I think I'm set.
And
that's the holy trinity of furry.
That's too many. I'm done too.
Anthropomorphic animals. We had our quota for the year. So.
I played some Biomutant. It's too much, guys. It's too much.
Oh, you did play Biomutant.
Biomutant doesn't count. Biomutant doesn't even count.
Chicory: A Colorful Tale.
That's the one I played and I didn't like, and I was like, "This is not for me at all." Yeah, and how did it get such a high rating?
For a few people,
not for you.
Yeah. And then right now,
you guys would hate it. By the way, you guys would absolutely hate it. So I don't know why it wouldn't be for you either.
But Derek would love it though.
Right now at 91, I think it's the Xbox Series X version has a 91. That's Psychonauts 2.
Wow,
that's awesome. That's cool.
What a Cinderella story.
Good for them. Yeah.
So what I did for all these, since most of them had multiple platforms, I just took the highest potential ranking off of any platform and just assigned that to it. I wasn't trying to get.
Let me just channel a little bit of Derek energy. So basically, the top games are all indie trash, dumb garbage. This is ridiculous, stupid year.
Where's Hot Wheels and Outriders?
Yeah.
Where's
no
Hot
one even
Riders?
mentioned
That's a different
Outriders.
game.
Outriders Unleashed. Where's the
That's
The
a very
that
different
was
game.
Broken for 3
So,
months.
I thought that was interesting looking through. This is 75% of the way through the year. It will be fascinating to watch as some heavy hitters like Far Cry 6 and Halo Infinite and Pokemon and all these other big games. Forza Horizon 5. We have a lot of big
Guardians.
games coming. Guardians of the Galaxy. And
That could
I
be
can't
good.
name them all, but there's so many big ones coming out.
Guardians is gonna be fun.
Will they interrupt somewhere in this list? I'd be curious to see where those land, or will they be like a lot of the games that usually end up being games that we all talk about, usually live in the 70s and 80s because we don't always necessarily align with the critics all the time. Sometimes that I don't think Synthriders is going to be something we're hotly debating at Game of the Year. I could be wrong.
That's what you think.
What about Nickelodeon All-Star Battle? Just wait.
Just
yeah, Smash Brothers. What?
I heard they added April O'Neil to that game, so
They've added
a
lot of characters that made me actually do
the game that I care about with April is the beat 'em up TMNT game. That's what I care about. So.
Oh yeah,
that game
Next
looks
year,
so wow.
Without, you don't have to rank them yet. We can save that for a few months from now. But I am curious from you guys. What are some of the games that as of right now, 3/4 of the way through the year or halfway, however you want to look at it, you definitely are going to be considering this for your favorite game of the year. And so I said 5, but if you got more than that, whatever. Just what are the games that you guys would list off? I'll just do kind of a clockwise on my screen here. So I'll start with Dan. What are the games that are definitely in your short list for
Japan crap? Next person.
All right. Who's the racist one now, huh?
This is not a competition, and that's the worst competition.
Yeah, it's the actual worst.
So, I like started typing these down, and then I was like, you know what? This probably actually is the order. The top 2 could interchange, really, just depending on my mood. But basically, Tales of Arise I have in the first spot. Resident Evil Village, Returnal, Deathloop, and then Artful Escape, actually. Just because, again, I haven't actually played a lot of like newer games from this year, but
did that one kind of surprise you? Like that it did for me.
I remember seeing the trailers initially of it. I was like, oh, that's a really like visually striking, like cool looking game, but like I just didn't know what it was gonna be. And then Jeff had like brought it on. I was like, oh yeah, that game. And then it was on Game Pass, and I have an Xbox now, so I was like, let me give it a shot.
Yeah,
so rad.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, Tales again is a surprise for me just because of my sort of history of it, and Resident Evil. Well, I love that series. As far as franchises go, which potentially in the future we could have a conversation about franchises. Resident Evil is a top tier franchise for me. So
and Village delivered, and
yeah,
that yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Returnal is really good, and I'm a pro gamer. I'm the only one of us I think that beat it. So I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah. I do think if I gave it time, eventually it might be 100 hours, but I would eventually finish it. I
would never beat that game.
I think as much as I championed it and was like, guys, the loop on this is actually pretty fun. I did hit a point. I don't know how many loops in a row it was. I was like, I think I'm good. I think I get it. I think I'm good.
Same. And I still champion. If someone like swooped in and goes, no guys, we really have to push this one. I'm like, yeah, sure. I sucked at it, but like I got what it was about. But like, boy, yeah, I hit a certain loop where I was like, I really need to play a different game. I need to win.
Yes,
I need to win.
That was me too.
I'm all about creators' intent, but I think like sometimes it is okay to have like, and obviously it would take more time and more development resources and money, but like give people options, right? Like Returnal would have been cool if there was like a separate mode where it was basically just you playing Metroid. Like,
yeah,
if it was just like straightforward, like
game of the year already, if that were the case.
Yeah, if it was just like you get the new guns and you're leveling up and you're kind of just escalating like the
save
progression.
Points, checkpoints, you beat the boss and you save right there. I probably would have loved it. I do admire what they did, but it's not on my.
Giving options would have been fun to have the two different, like have there be like hardcore mode where it's like you die and you start over, or then kind of like the Metroidvania mode,
I will say when it came out, the games that had come out up to that point, like so the first half of the year, it was in my top 3, but it has since dropped down. It's down closer to the 10 number. It's probably not going to be in the top 10 when it's all, for me personally, when it's all said and done. Kyle, what are some of the games on your short list? You don't have to order them if you don't want to.
No. Obviously, we talked about Lost Judgment. I really like that game. I agree with Dan. I think Village was it delivered big time. Strangely, Life is Strange is probably going to be stuck in the top 5 for me. I really thought that game was worth feeling feels about. Even though I haven't spent a lot of time with Psychonauts 2, I immediately acknowledge all of the personality and everything, and it's the game that I really am intending on getting to next, even though Kena.
That's gotta be
really
Kane.
And Tales of Arise as well. It's another one where like I'm staring down the barrel of going, I'm probably not going to be able to beat this one, but I really want to, and I think it actually is it feels like a special RPG that any RPG fan should be playing right now.
Yeah, agreed. Nice. Jeff, what about you?
My list is kind of garbage because I didn't really get to beat the big ones that you guys have, well, at least Dan has mentioned.
You don't have to beat them. Like, it's
Returnal.
Yeah.
It's what you
Returnal I
love,
need to play more of.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil Village, I actually do have it in I have like a list of games I need to beat before the GOTY debate. So I do want to beat that one.
Yeah.
But I did rank higher the ones I beat. So of the ones I beat that I loved, Kena, Ratchet and Clank, surprisingly. I just had so much fun with that and couldn't stop playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Life is Strange, obviously, like because I loved it so much and it took me by surprise. So a lot of these really just those two especially took me by surprise. But the Life is Strange one, I beat the DLC that just came out, Wavelengths, and you play as Steph, and it's just like a day in the life over like 4 seasons, basically, of her running the record store. And it surprisingly focuses a lot on Arcadia Bay, whatever your choice was with Arcadia Bay.
Whoa,
because she was really close with Chloe in Before the Storm. So a lot of that has to do, a lot of the DLC, which is like 2-3 hours, has to do with her
Interesting.
coping with Arcadia Bay or whatever happened to Chloe.
Tie in.
I like
Whoa, yeah, you totally just like pumped that to the top of my list. I had no idea that's what the game was about. How long was it?
Like 2-3 hours. I mean, you can rush through it too. Like you don't have to. I think you can like skip. There's some foosball stuff. You can play 3 games. I think 3 or 4 games. You can skip that.
I love doing all the stuff in that game.
He likes Yakuza. He'll do all the mini games.
I will do everything.
Yeah, I did too.
Foosball's the devil, though. So
there's a part 2 where you can write an original song, basically, and each chapter that passes, they're like really short chapters though compared to the episodes, but you can write a new part, basically.
Okay.
And anyway, so that really elevated the game for me, honestly, because I was like, oh my god, we're actually talking about Arcadia Bay. Oh my god, like it's like, oh my god, it's been a long time.
He kept saying it.
Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god. And then 12 Minutes is up there in my top 5 right now, just because it was one of those rare games where I spent a couple days to beat it. I know some people did it in one sitting. Kyle and I have a friend that did it in one sitting. He just couldn't put it down. It's one of those rare games though where I stopped playing it, and then that's all I was thinking about, like all day.
Yeah.
When I was in bed, trying to go to bed, like I was just like,
12 minutes.
What's going on? Maybe I could try this with the light, and then I don't know. I just kept trying to think of different.
Stab my wife, and then
maybe if I stab my wife, and he comes in and he's like, "Well, Godspeed, Ray Skywalker, whatever."
Godspeed, broad.
Godspeed, Ray Skywalker. That was awesome. Oh man.
I just love that game. And then the only other one that's ranked really high that I haven't beat, but I'm just so impressed with the level design and the amount of choice in it, is Hitman 3.
Yeah. Big time.
It's just remarkable. I mean, no other game has really come close in terms of like all the crap you can do in just one level. Especially that Knives Out level just blew me away. I know it's not called the Knives Out level.
Yeah, but it is.
No, that's what it is.
But it's more or less Knives Out.
What a cool level. If you go back and play it a few times, there's so many different ways.
That's the one thing I've gone back and played a couple of times this year, and I feel like it's some of the greatest game design ever.
Yeah.
They also have some really cool challenge missions, like sniper missions, where you're just in sniper mode and you have to snipe stealthily snipe them out before they notice that they're being shot at. Like, there's all kinds of cool modes in that game, and you can play through if you own them, play through the first 2 games with all the visual upgrades that 3 has. Nice. You can play through all the missions from all of them. You just have to own them ahead of time. So, I mean, that Hitman 3 is just what an incredible game. So that's on the list for me, of course. That's on my short list. My top 10. I don't know where it's gonna land. I don't know what I haven't really ranked these yet. I just kind of have a list of. I have like tiers. Like, all right, So here in my very top tier, here are these, and then the ones that recently got kicked out of the top tier, by the way, in recent months, were games like Monster Hunter Rise, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank. It's not that they aren't good; it's just there are other games that I've played since then. They're like, yeah, I think these are above it. So those got shifted down. Tales of Arise is also in that second tier, which is crazy because I didn't expect to even play that game this year. But not only did I play it, but now it's like it's in that almost made it category, which I know that might sound like an insult. That's actually really a praise for that game because I didn't expect to play it at all. So here are 5 that I know will be considered. Hitman 3, for sure. It's just a brilliant, brilliant game. It came out so early in the year. I think a lot of people are going to forget about it, to be honest. Resident Evil Village was so good. We'll talk a lot about it in the coming months. So good. Death's Door, one of my favorites, and I'll probably be the only one championing it as much as I'll probably be championing it the most, and that's okay. I don't expect it to be like a shared list winner or maybe even placement. I don't know. I just know for me personally, it's going to be.
I just got to play it more because I liked whatever 2 hours I played of it, but I just
couldn't get enough.
Got distracted with.
I don't know what every game has that moment where it's like, I love this, and it could be anything. It could be a story moment. It could be a weapon you get.
It happened in Ratchet and Clank for me. Yeah, I don't remember what it was, what moment it was.
Oh, okay. This is
like
amazing.
here's how you find everything, and yeah.
The Death's Door just had a couple moments like that where I was like, oh, I didn't realize that I love this. That's cool. Kena Bridge of Spirits and Psychonauts 2 both landing in my top 5. I don't know where though. At least at the moment they are.
I feel like in between playthroughs of Lost Judgment, because I know it's going to take me the longest time to beat, and I do have it in another game in my list that I want to beat before the Game of the Year show. Psychonauts is probably going to take up most of my time because it's along the same lines of Ratchet and Clank and Kena that I just beat back to back. So I feel like Psychonauts is going to.
That game is
like
my
quote unquote like mascot games or whatever. Yeah.
It's easy for folks who don't truly give Psychonauts 1 or 2 a shot. It's easy for folks to bash it because the art style is very weird. It's like kind of Tim Burton, but not really. It's wacky, and the levels look.
It's like
really
if
weird.
Tim Burton had a drug problem.
For real.
Wait, hold on.
Crazy.
Does
Lost
he not?
Lost and Random
isn't
is
that
straight up
Tim Burton?
Yeah, Lost and Random is much more.
It's straight up Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's
and
straight
then
up.
Psychonauts is like Tim. Yeah, I think you're right. Tim Burton had way too much
on
to
drugs.
drink. Yeah. So
this is your brain. This is. Your
I'll be
brain
talking
on
about this
drugs.
game a lot, but I can't emphasize enough for folks, like, if you play it with an open mind, without and a lot of times we do this. I do this too. You go into a game or a movie or a show with a negative connotation already attached to it. It's going to be, you can't really let it be what it is and really enjoy it for what it is if you do that. So if you go in there expecting it to, and we talked about this in the group recently with something like God of War from 2018. If you go in there expecting the old God of War games or Bayonetta, sure, you're going to be like, well, it's kind of slow and clunky, and I don't like the. It's like, well, it's a different game than those, and so
I wanted it to be a totally different thing.
I wish they coded it completely different in every way possible.
You have to at least meet these games halfway, or movies, whatever. Like, it's just not. It's not a fair criticism.
What's crazy about Psychonauts 2 is it's like almost pure silliness and very funny, by the way. And then there are moments, especially in the third act, which I'm almost done with it now, that are like shockingly touching and deep. Like, they explore all kinds of themes, everything from alcoholism to losing family members to all kinds of stuff. It's like, dude,
my language, man.
They are, and they do it still with. They still do it with.
I was gonna say alcoholism.
The first game was the same way, but it was more like preteen issues. Like, oh, do I fit in? Like fear and stuff like that. And these issues that you're tackling in this game, like Tim is saying, are way more like gambling addiction, and
there's stuff about anxiety and having panic attacks. There's actually enemies called panic attacks, and you have to use one of your skills to attack.
That kind of fits because the main character, at least in the start, I haven't played the first game, by the way, but the main character, at least in the start, is trying to thrust himself into the adult world of being a superhero, basically.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense that he's dealing with adult problems, and there's adult themes in it.
Starts with basic things like, let me connect this thought of money to this thought of risk, and then I can make this character in their mind now make decisions in the real world. So it starts with some simple concepts like that are like, oh, that's creative, that's cool, and some of the enemies are funny and emotional baggage. That's a clever take on it. But then you start to fight enemies like the panic attacks or like bad moods, and then what you have to do with bad mood is you have to take it over as soon as you have an availability, take it over, and then from its perspective, you can see the source of that bad mood, and it's a heart trapped in a cage. Like, it's all really, really deep, like stuff that I'm like, oh, this is a fun, silly Nickelodeon game, but there's also a ton of symbolism going on, like so much.
Yeah.
There's a whole level with these enemies called
why-
enablers that are like essentially shield characters. So they'll run around dodging you, giving all the other enemies these huge shield boosts. You have to kill the enabler before you can take out the problems. It's crazy.
I almost feel like it should be a
Yeah,
show.
just
It's
think
an
about what he
enabler.
just said. That's amazing. That's how clever is that? That's super clever.
Very
high score makes complete sense. Like it makes complete sense when you have somebody describe the game.
Tim
to you.
Schafer is like one of the best in the biz. Like I don't always
He
like
is.
all of his games. Like some of his game genres that he chooses aren't my favorite in the world or whatever. But like that guy has so much personality that he
Yeah.
injects into all of his projects. And this is like you can tell that like this series is one of the things that means the most to him, and it just shines through in such magical ways. And I think it's an amazing game.
Yeah, it's absolutely stellar. I do recommend folks give it a shot. If you're not gonna, fine, but don't pretend like it's bad just because you haven't tried it, or pretend like it's bad because they don't have a great end game. You know, like as far as after you finish the game, you go back and do all the collectibles. Apparently, there's not.
You weird nerd.
This-
Just move on to the next game.
This
Thank
sounds
you.
like a reference.
it's a narrative
Yeah,
game.
you weirdos. Like,
If you
I
beat
can't
the
play
story
more
and
of the
you're
game
done.
I beat. You know, like I don't know.
So
Just
stupid.
play.
Yeah.
Just play a
Also,
new
it's
game.
Go play
weirdo.
Tails then.
It's a huge game. It's got so many levels. Like I thought I was gonna finish it way.
I
early.
thought like the collectibles already seemed overwhelming in that game. To be honest, like, oh, you have to do all of these things?
I can't imagine doing every level over again. There's so many. There's got to be dozens.
I don't know.
There's so
Yeah.
many.
Okay. Whatever.
So,
People are weird. It's fine.
Excellent game. If you've got the Series S or X or a PC to play it on, I think that's the way to go as opposed to the Xbox One or PS4 because the visuals are truly good and
They
the
really
load
are.
time.
They
Load
do look
times
really
on
good
a
on the
PC,
S. I'm surprisingly.
or if you play on PS5, or not PS5, sorry guys, Xbox Series X or the PC, you'll get really good load times, which helps a lot too. All right, I digress. We're not talking about that anymore. Sorry about that, but I love that game.
Good.
All right, well, let's talk about a few headlines before we wrap things up. It will be fun over the next few months. Oh, you know what? Before we do headlines, it'll be fun to see what else jumps up on the list. Thinking about the stuff that's coming out this holiday season, October through December. And I can name a few if you need a refresher, but what do you think has the best chance? If you had to think of one game, what has the best chance of cracking your top 10, maybe even top 5, just based on...
Back for
I can
Blood.
give you the easiest, most obvious answer, and it's Forza.
Back for Blood.
It's-
Yeah, I think Forza too, but Back for
Forza.
Blood for me as well.
Yes.
Back
So
for Blood.
pretentious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, what do you think? What do you
You
think?
just say Tetris?
No, I said pretentious because you're like,
Tetris.
oh, Forza.
Tetris 2.
Well, I reserved Guardians the other day and something else. I forget what was another big one. It's not coming to mind right now. But I mean, Guardians, like after watching those that preview with Easy Allies and just like other previews also saying like, oh, this is actually shockingly seems like it's going to be really good. This is what the Avengers game should have been, or along the lines of this quality. That I'm actually now pretty excited for that. And visually, it actually looks really good. Like if you watch like a high
It does.
like a high quality video on YouTube of like the actual in game, like the character models are really solid, really nice, good colors.
It's the Deus Ex team. Like they're amazing at telling stories. It's going to be an amazing story. Like it's going to be so great.
So yeah, I think that will hopefully, as long as like the game runs well and the combat is challenging but not frustrating.
Just don't play the Switch cloud version or whatever. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be fun.
I think for me, it's right now. It looks like 2 games that are coming out next week are vying for that potential top spot. It's between Far Cry 6 or Metroid Dread. Those are the 2 that I'm most excited about. They could both totally disappoint. Like last Far Cry game I played was Far Cry New Dawn. You could argue it wasn't a mainline one. I suppose that's fine. That one was in general a letdown for me because it really did feel like more just Far Cry 5. And I liked Far Cry 5 a lot. I played New Dawn and I was like, oh, they're kind of retreading everything. It wasn't until the end of the story that it felt different and they went some cool places. But yeah, that game just didn't quite do it for me. So I'm cautiously optimistic that Far Cry 6 will deliver what the trailers seem to be showing us so far. We'll see. And so we'll see if I'm actually bitten by the same old Far Cry bug that everyone else apparently gets bitten by, and that is more Far Cry. And then maybe that'll happen to me this time. I don't know. But I do think Metroid Dread is going to be on my list somewhere.
That was the other one I was
I think
thinking
so
of.
too. I think that'll rank pretty high. It looks very quality.
It does. And I don't think it's coming out this year, but for some reason it still has a nebulous 2021 release date, I think. Is Little Devil Inside? Is that coming out this year?
Oh my god.
I don't think so.
That like kept
There's no way.
They were saying fall 2021 for like the longest time, and then like it's just time is come and gone, and
It's
it's
got to
like,
be spring, like everything else, right?
I don't know, dude. I'm
Probably.
so excited for that. Like, it looks
Me
so
too.
It looks
unique
awesome.
and
Yeah,
awesome.
if we knew that was coming this holiday, that would be on my short list for, hey,
Yeah.
watch out for this
Yeah.
one, you know?
At this
and-
point, even the Wikipedia just gave up on release date. They just said,
Right.
"Oh, we're just
Yeah,
going to remove
right.
the release date."
This game has been in development for, I think, around 5 years at least.
Oh
So,
wow!
It
Yeah.
looks so good.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it does. It's
All right,
gonna
let's-
kill when it comes out for sure.
go
I'm
through a
not a
few-
Halo fanboy, but Halo could splash really big. So
It could.
it
Yeah.
could.
Good.
It could. Oh,
We'll
by the
see.
way, that brings up something that really annoys me, and that is the Game Awards. I posted about this in the group.
Mm.
Yep.
They hold the Game Awards the first or second week of December every year, and they cut out every game that's not released before whatever the date is. November 20 something is usually the
Sure.
cutoff date.
Yeah.
And so in the past, they've cut out major games like Final Fantasy 15, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order,
Didn't Valhalla get cut off?
Immortals. No, Valhalla made the cut last year, but they nominated
okay.
it for like action or something weird. Like that was the only thing that got nominated for it
Yeah,
because no one
not
really
enough- not
played it.
enough people played it. Yeah, it wasn't fair to. So
Um,
absurd.
I just think it's weird. I think there's a reason why the Golden Globes and Oscars happen in the first few months of the years because they were viewing everything from the last
Right.
year. So
Exactly.
I don't know. Whatever. That's a bummer that they do that though. So I feel like Halo Infinite. That reminded me of that. Halo Infinite has a December release.
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to affect the sales. It would just be cool if the Game Awards would.
And apparently, the Gunk is targeted for a December date,
The
but
gunk,
we don't.
that's right.
We don't know what day yet, but
That's
hopefully that stays. That hey man, it's going to get the shaft now. The Gunk,
I mean, if Dying Light 2 hadn't gotten
Shame.
delayed, that was a December release. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
but it got delayed, so that point is moot. Or as Joey from Friends would say, it's like a cow's opinion.
moo.
It's a moo point.
It's
Just moo.
It's moo.
It's moot. All right, a couple of headlines for us to cover before we close things out. I'm sorry,
What's
I love
funny
Friends.
is that
Joey.
joke actually makes sense when you think about his explanation of it. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can see that actually. Yeah,
That's why in his mind it always made sense. Like, yeah, it's a moot point. Yeah, it's like a cow's opinion. It's moot. Oh, by the way, speaking of 90s sitcoms, Seinfeld out on Netflix. I'm gonna start binging through that here
I
pretty
love
soon.
that show so much.
All right, so a couple general news items to get through on our headlines here. The PC version of Monster Hunter Rise is coming out on Steam January 12th, so you'll be able to check it out there. I think there's a demo, if it's not out yet, coming soon. But yeah, you'll get a much prettier version of that for sure. But I gotta be honest, Monster Hunter Rise ran really well on my Switch. They certainly
Same.
found some clever ways to cut corners with visuals and textures, and I admire the way they did it. But I bet you it's gonna look.
Good.
I bet it's gonna look great on PC.
Probably.
Probably. Most things do. Netflix, speaking of Netflix, between Midnight Mass and Seinfeld, they also acquired Oxenfree's developer Night School Studio.
Yeah, buddy.
They're doing
Netflix has this is their. I think they've been acquiring devs already because they want to
Yeah.
explore gaming, but this is their biggest one. This is
Yeah.
like the biggest one they've done. Yeah.
Now, the developer did come out and say it doesn't affect any of our current plans. We're still working on Oxenfree 2.
Yeah.
The platforms we already announced it for, like Switch and other consoles, it's going to come to those, but we're excited about blah, blah, blah. Netflix is
Cool.
great. They're our daddy.
There are who's your daddy?
Daddy.
Yeah, daddy Netflix.
What's your daddy? What's he do?
Another TV show related thing, the Book of Boba Fett has a release date, December 29th. December is going to be killer for TV because you got The Witcher new season and
Yeah.
Boba Fett coming out.
Boba, if they're doing the Disney release plan, that just means one episode, which is weird to debut one episode before the year ends.
I don't know. Maybe they wanted to squeeze it in for awards
Yeah.
for next year. I don't
I don't know. Yeah.
know.
I mean, that season is from fall to fall.
Who
so
cares?
don't
Am I
know.
right? You know,
Yeah.
who
Who
cares
cares
about
about
Star
Star
Wars?
Wars?
Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Who cares?
It's going to be exciting.
More like
man.
Boba Fett because he's a piece of garbage. Doesn't work out. I don't know. Whatever.
He's very fat. He's a
Listen,
fat man.
I will watch as long as they don't have any offensive names of spaceships.
Yeah.
And I think they
Employee
take care of it,
One.
so I think we're
That's
good.
his new name. Is that his new name?
Employee One.
You know, that's why we haven't gotten anything from Boba Fett for a while, right? They had to figure out his ship, the new name. You know, they just had to.
I wish they would've
never
gone-
said
I
its
wish they
name.
would've-
They could have never said it, but instead they
Yeah,
chose
he's just
chaos.
like,
They
let's just
chose
go to my
chaos
ship.
instead.
Oh, cool.
They
I
chose
know what
my
we're
ship.
gonna make a
Lucy,
What do you call
statement.
yours?
I would have
worry about
loved
it.
it if
Just
they
go to my
went
ship.
the Washington football
chose
team route and just
chaos.
called it Spaceship. That would have been great. They just
Yeah,
called it.
that'd be great.
ship.
I'm just glad that they single-handedly fixed everything. So
They did.
Yep,
Between
Good job,
everything.
Disney. You
firing
fixed
firing
racism.
Cara Dune and
fixed
changing the name, like they're taking care of everything for us. It's great.
Yeah,
Good
destroying
job.
entire planets
Oh, man.
with like millions of people living on them. That's fine. Kids can watch that, but you can't
Yeah.
call a ship the Slave One. You know, like
It's true.
Uh,
He literally put someone in carbonite and put it in his ship. Like, you know what I mean? To sell him to
Oh,
a slave
by the
trader
way,
called Jabba the Hutt. I mean,
Kyle,
I
this
don't
might have
know.
been you because most of my like funny Star Wars things that I think of that come to mind are usually because of you. That's why I follow you on Facebook. Otherwise, I wouldn't be your friend. I'm
Thank
just
you.
kidding.
Thank you. That's the whole point.
But I think
Because your
you
actual
had.
opinions on things. Meh.
I think you posted this, and it made me laugh so hard. It was I just now realized that the entire time that Leia's wearing that gold bikini, Han can't see.
Yeah, yeah. What a bummer, right? Yeah.
Han,
Yeah.
trust me. I'm hot
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, he doesn't get to see. it.
Han,
That's
if you
pretty
could
fun.
just see me, like, God.
Yeah, I worked really hard for this. The studio made me lose 10 pounds. Anyway, all right, new
That's
Layers of
cocaine.
Fear project has been teased, or I guess
Oh.
the teaser has been revealed by the Bloober team, which is one of the funniest dev team names for a horror game.
Uber.
Yeah.
studio.
They make quality horror stuff too.
They do.
So
The
it's just-
Medium had some good moments, even though it wasn't my favorite game. It had some really strong moments.
Yeah, I didn't have fun with that game. I'm sorry. Sorry guys.
I didn't have fun with the game, but it had good
No,
story
it's not
moments.
supposed to be fun, but the story's great.
It is really good if you get to the end of it. Tokyo Game Show highlights. Dan, I'll let you take this one away.
I mean, I actually didn't. I didn't put anything. I was gonna put more in there, but I forgot to get around to it. But basically, the main thing is hold on, let me actually get to what I typed. Where the hell did I put it? Come on.
Put in the comment, maybe.
Did you move it? There we go. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin has a release date, and that is
Yeah.
March 18th, which I actually just remembered.
That
That's my
is
wife's birthday.
so-
So
Wow, that's so chaotic.
so yeah, my wife's birthday is just gonna be full of chaos. So,
chaos, just chaos.
just chaos. So
Bullshit.
they released a
man. I showed that
So-
to like 3 people at work, and they're like, "I'm not playing that." And I'm like,
So-
"I know."
so they released hold on. So they released a second demo today. Okay. It's for PS5, Xbox Series XS, and it ends on October 11th. So I was on Twitter and there was a video, different people circulating a section of the demo. So the main character's name is Jack. He's just like the most like just regular, just Joe Schmo white dude, just like
Yeah, yeah.
in
course.
like this like anime fantasy like nonsense world. And there's like this anime chick. They introduced her in the new trailer. I think her name is like Neon or something. And she's like going on this whole like diatribe about like, you know, chaos, and like I was gonna consume the chaos and then like hope that the warriors of light would show up and then kill me, so then this nightmare would end. And Jack just completely like just straight faced, like a few seconds passes.
There's a really awkward pause, classic
Yeah.
anime moment there
Few
too.
like
Very
a bunch of
pregnant
seconds.
pause, yeah.
Seems like an eternity. Bullshit. And then he pulls out a smartphone and he's got earbuds in his ears, and it's like what, like early 2000s, like Linkin
Puddle
Park,
of Mud.
Limp Bizkit. Yeah, like Puddle of
it's
Mud
like raising
music.
it to the come win it now.
And he just walks away. He just walks away, and it cuts to black, and then like,
so bad.
and then they're just walking in a forest, and he turns off the music, and it's like, what even was that? What
Oh,
happened?
the vibe of this
Such a
game, like I cannot get
brilliant
around
out of
on this game
context.
at
Listen,
all.
If it were played for laughs, like a Devil May Cry 5 type moment, I could see them doing something like
Yeah.
that to be funny.
Right.
I'm all in on that, but that looked like it was
And that's the point I was trying to make earlier. I was like, you know, maybe it's trying to go for a Bayonetta thing, but just like not
No,
getting
but,
it
like,
at all. You
No,
know?
This,
not
sec-
understanding
this,
it, yeah.
this second trailer actually was like, oh, this actually does seem a bit serious.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually liking the vibes of this new
Same.
trailer.
Yeah.
But like, even though I still think Jack is just kind of like a super generic dumb character, like, but then I saw that scene, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What
Here's
is
here's
going
the
on?
here's the silver lining though. One of my favorite games from 2017, Horizon Zero Dawn, had some pretty horrific NPC interactions with bad voice acting, just poorly written, or
Sure.
maybe it was placeholder and they just never changed it. I don't know,
Mm.
but there were a few that even went viral, and that didn't take away from that game being
No.
absolutely
No.
amazing. So
That's
this
true. I
could
didn't even notice
be
it until you said it. I was like, oh yeah, that was pretty bad.
this could be one of those. and it could be just a good example of how the whole game is. So we'll see.
I mean, it's clearly he's not of this world. Like him and his little crew there. Like they're clearly not actually from that world.
Is
it
that
seems.
clear? I don't.
Is it clear?
It
What's
is.
clear?
It is. Well, because like so
Only
when
thing
you
that's
actually,
clear is that he likes music.
don't-
Honestly.
but like so
No.
when you pull up the demo though, like and it shows them walking into like the castle, they look at like they're just in regular clothes, like not fantasy clothes whatsoever. They just look like they're wearing sneakers, like that, like Nikes practically. Like they just look like regular dudes. So
with this one,
my impression.
With it being announced for March, I had to read real quick. Here's the games that currently have release dates between January and March. I'll go real fast. Elden Ring, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction, Dying Light 2, Stay Human, Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh,
I'm skipping a bunch, by the way. I'm just doing the major ones. Sifu, the Saints Row remake, Evil Dead the game, Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, Gran Turismo 7, Triangle Strategy, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, Rune Factory 5, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and Marvel's Midnight Suns. Those are the ones that have very specific January through March release dates. That's not even the ones that it says spring or Q1.
I better get a raise, man. I better get a raise.
Stressed out. I just get stressed out.
I just need to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Gotta win the lottery.
Those of you who have heard me, specifically me, I think all of us have, but I've definitely done my fair share of whining, I'll admit it, about like, why is everything coming out in the same window? Like, I get it. I know that's how I sound sometimes. That's why I do that, because it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, this is insane. Yeah, this is insane.
I don't have the money or the
every
time.
game you just mentioned, I'm buying probably day one.
Yep.
And I'm
a sucker
mad
too,
about
yeah.
it.
And the first major game of 2022 is Elden Ring on January 21st.
Yeah,
We're not gonna have time to play anything else after that. Like that's gonna take up the rest of the 3 months. I don't know. Whatever.
I have to play Chaos though. I have to, so I can tell you guys about the Chaos.
I'm taking that trip with
I
you.
haven't heard enough about the Chaos. That's for sure.
Kyle, will you walk with me hand in hand into the Chaos?
Directly into it, yeah.
I can't wait for this. Well, guys, listen, Konami is set to ramp up its
I'm about to break everything.
Premium game development with new installments and remakes for some of the biggest Konami franchises, including Metal Gear and Castlevania. This is a rumor, but it's not just from one outlet. I've been seeing it across like a bunch of places, Push Square, Video Game Chronicles, and several other places. A lot of tweets about it. Let me just read to you real quick the summary of what the rumor is. According to publishing sources who spoke to Video Game Chronicle in this particular article, but also to places like Push Square, by the way, because they don't have permission to discuss it publicly. First of these titles will be a Castlevania game, which they describe as a reimagining of the series currently in development internally at Konami. So apparently they're not just doing Plinko. There's been speculation on Demon Soul Studio Bluepoint, which we now know not to be true, unless there's some weird deal going on before Sony acquired them. That they were supposed to be working on a remake of Metal Gear Solid, but now they're saying it's a studio called Virtuos, and they're the ones who they've been supporting all kinds of AAA games, bringing existing games to new platforms. They've been doing a lot of remasters and restoring and that kind of thing. So they've got a lot.
Three, right? Like specifically 3 Metal Gear Solid.
I think I saw 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 3 was the one that is central to that rumor for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also Virtuos. I don't know how to say it. They did Switch ports of Dark Souls Remastered, Outer Worlds, and BioShock Collection, all of which they have their flaws, but boy, they did some crazy stuff to get those games to look and run well on the Switch. Pretty good work. Also, Silent Hill games are reportedly in development at various studios, and they said games.
Been saying that for a few years now, but
I don't know how much to take any of this. Is this just someone who needs attention who decided to talk to you? I have no idea.
We willed this into existence with our conversation from.
I guess.
Earlier.
I just wanted to. It's not in the notes, so I wanted to throw something out there. I remember reading today. I think it was today. The GTA trilogy remaster got rated in South Korea.
Yes.
So it's happening,
South Korea.
folks.
Yeah.
It's happening, folks.
Games that don't exist don't get rated, so it's probably real.
Yeah.
I think it's real. I think it's,
Yeah,
and I'm all in for that.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
to
same. Especially if
put
there's
new
like
games aside
actual
for that.
checkpoints, like in San Andreas. That'd be.
Yeah.
What's the
cool.
first one you would play? Would you go to GTA 3?
I'll go in order. Yeah. GTA 3 was like my intro to it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think I would jump right into San Andreas first, personally, just because I feel
that's
like
my
I
favorite.
hated that game a lot whenever it came out.
Oh,
And-
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I've gone back and played. And I'm just like, I don't know what mood I was in, but like this game is really cool because I love all the RPG elements and like you get yourself fat or cut or
It was so
whatever.
ahead
You
of
could
its
just
time.
shoot a pistol forever, and now
First
you're
time you could
masterful at
swim.
shooting that pistol.
Could swim.
First time you could swim. Yeah, there's a lot of things to love about that game.
There's
so.
something so funny in Vice City about being this tough Ray Liotta voiced character.
Yeah,
who
yeah.
died
That's my
instantly.
favorite of the series, but I've played it so many times. I
Like,
don't.
you
need
live
it.
in Miami, you can't swim. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
first look at Last of Us HBO series. We got to see Joel and Ellie's backs. But here's what's cool about this still that they released was it looks really faithful to the game just from that one
I
shot.
legit thought it was a shot from like DLC or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really like, whoa.
Listen, the actors they have and the fact that Neil Druckmann's so involved, these are all very promising things. I like most HBO series, so at least the ones that I've tried that I've really given a true shot. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I can't think of one that. Oh, I guess True Blood was the only one that was like, okay, what are you guys doing?
Okay, but
like,
I didn't give that a real shot.
CW, the HBO show.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't that basically
CW
vampire softcore porn? Wasn't
pretty
that
much?
Yes, it's absolutely vampire softcore porn.
Extremely strong, like it, in my opinion, it did. And then oh my god, it was just.
They all die. This sex positive show, the way that it ends is they all die of like sex disease.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like it's such a sex positive show.
Like
it's like you should just go out there and get who you want, and then it's like, everyone died because y'all were all fucking each other.
Yeah, they introduced that idea in like the first few episodes of vampire AIDS or whatever that you can get from sucking the blood of a gay person with AIDS or whatever, and they reintroduce it. The dumbest thing that they could do is reintroduce it as like a show-ending thing, but they did it.
Yeah, they did.
Oh boy. Well,
very mixed messages to give the youth, you know.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about how, hey, it's going to be Last of Us Day, and we're very excited. What are they going to announce? And it turns out that they confirmed they're still working on Last of Us multiplayer.
That's about it. They said they were hiring people.
How generous!
So angry. Yeah. So angry.
All right, I'm going to keep moving because we don't have a lot of time and because that's a dumb announcement. Whatever. The co-founder behind the studio of Kena, it's Kena, Bridge of Spirits.
Sorry, I got everybody doubting. I'm sorry.
He said that they're going to look into releasing the game on other platforms. They're not necessarily locked in to the platforms they're on, but they just need a break. Essentially, that's what they said. Like their team just needs to have a rest, and it makes sense.
I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take a rest. But this game would do great, I think, on any platform it lands on. Whatever they're able to make it work.
Release on everything, so it can make more money and fund a sequel. So
this would be amazing for Switch players.
Yeah,
like
if they can, a lower res version, maybe pull back that draw distance. It'd be a great Switch game, and then of course it would just do bonkers on Game Pass if Xbox were to secure that somehow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
PlayStation Plus games for October are going to be Hell Let Loose, which looks like a World War II shooter, I think. Mortal Kombat X and PGA Tour 2K21.
Tim, I'm so mad. These games are terrible. I'm so angry at these free game, well, quote unquote free games, but
don't call them free games, man. We'll have to have a dialogue about it or something.
Sorry, I was just representing all of the angry people on Twitter that are angry about everything. Yeah. So
I mean, those games it's fine. Like now that I've got like Game Pass, I don't pay attention much to the PS Plus or Games with Gold announcements.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't think there's been anything on PS Plus that I've cared about in a long time. I think they put Hitman 2 on there, and I'm like, but I have that.
But I had
last month. So solid. Could be wrong.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I was like, oh, I've been waiting to play this one. Like it's been a long. Like either I own it or I don't care about it, for the most part. It's what it's like being rich, guys. All right.
Yes.
I have too many kids for that. Spider-Man 2. By Insomniac, of course, not the movie or anything like that. The game is going to be darker in tone.
Yes.
So this is pretty cool. So Bill Roseman, he's the vice president of creative at Marvel Games, not Insomniac, but at Marvel Games, right? He discussed this title, of course, as he was talking to This Week in Marvel, their podcast. And I haven't actually listened to this podcast. This is from Eurogamer. This is what he said. If the first Spider-Man game was Star Wars, Spider-Man 2 is kind of like our empire. It gets a little darker. He described it as everything you love about the first game and Spider-Man Miles Morales, but more. Well, of course, he's going to say that. That's very markety. But he says there's multiple foes. I can say the story very much continues and picks up from Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I don't want to reveal too much, but it's the next big chapter. Lots of threads, lots of characters. So there you go. The big news here isn't his markety speak at the end. Like, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. You're going to love it. It's darker tone, Empire Strikes Back,
which
like that.
Which I mean is expected if Venom's involved, of course. Maybe
Tony Todd's voicing him, right?
Yes, I was gonna say. Somebody remind me of the name. Candyman will be voicing Venom, so that's pretty cool.
What's his name, Jeff?
So cool.
Tony Todd.
Tony Todd. It's a great name too.
He's a legend.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
Also,
was that guy in Die Hard 2 also? I feel like he was in a Die Hard movie as a bad guy. Not like the main bad guy, but like a hint. Like
I don't remember. Unless it's the second one, which I've seen once and didn't like that much. So
the airport one?
Yeah, that's the
I always remembered him in Dawn of the Dead. and it's
Oh yeah.
no, Night of the Living Dead. I'm sorry.
Oh,
The
okay.
remake.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
the
It's
remake.
Tony Todd. Let's look this up.
I was gonna say, if it has Empire Strikes Back vibes, does that mean Peter Parker reveals that
Yes.
Miles is his son?
Yes.
And Miles is like, how does that work?
I don't know.
Well, I don't
And
know.
it's a giant your mom joke or something.
He is not. He is not in Die Hard 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad, guys.
I hope Carnage shows up too. That'd be great.
Or if it's one of the lesser sequels that came out. Well, I guess there's only one sequel I really didn't like, and it's the 5th one with Jai Courtney. I don't remember the name of
5
it.
Die Hards. I
They
remember
did,
watching.
and I think the last one was called like Live
Free and Die.
That one was fun. I actually like that one.
That's the one with Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah,
I like that one too.
Justin
yeah.
Long.
People are like, I hate that movie. I'm like, come on, guys.
yeah.
Come on, guys.
Come on, guy.
The other one's in Russia. Die Hard on a cold day, something like that.
Die hard in a cold
This
shower,
diatribe
yeah.
needs to die hard on a cold day.
Let's look it up.
Let's wrap
I'm
it
pretty sure I'm not far off though. It's pretty terrible.
All right. This rumor is interesting. Is that Guerrilla Games has some staff. What is it? What's it called?
A good day to die hard.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't even that far off. Die hard on a good day.
Guerrilla Games apparently has some staffing listings that look like they might be gearing up for an online game or an online component potentially to a game. So they're looking for positions like a senior social systems designer, and they want someone who's passion for player communities and social features, explore creative ways players can connect with others in game. They want them to engage players in social interactions, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they want someone who's going to help run their in-game community. So that's a pretty big deal.
Ooh, here's a potential something.
Yeah.
Free to play Killzone multiplayer only.
That's all I was thinking about this entire time is like maybe they're bringing back Killzone.
Yes.
Yep.
It could be. They also want an individual who's got an extensive knowledge of stories with narrative design and open world RPG games, online games, and MMORPGs to create mission, quest writing, and narrative design.
Killzone Destiny. Destiny Killzone.
Or Killzone Apex Legends. They're going for that angle.
See,
Yeah.
something like that's actually kind of interesting. Let's bring back a dormant franchise and do something new with it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, my gut tells me this is just an online component to Horizon. But
Because that's the thing.
Probably.
Sony doesn't really have like a really like hot like first person shooter that's like Halo levels like right now.
It's had two that they abandoned though.
Yeah,
the
right, that's
Resistance
what I mean.
franchise and Killzone. They're
That's what I
like,
mean.
these are really successful, but I think we're not going to do them anymore.
But some of these companies still try to do the free to play thing, like try to do the Fortnite thing. So if they did like Killzone, like free to play, and like kind of Apex Legends had like seasons and stuff.
Well, then
like,
there's people like people who made the Hot Wheels game who are like not free to play, but you still will pay extra.
Yeah, you will pay all the money.
Yes.
Bluepoint, of course, has been finally purchased by Sony. It was one of the funniest leaks where there was kind of this artwork that people stumbled across. Like, wait, what is this?
Yeah.
But everyone knew it was coming. Bluepoint. If you aren't familiar with who they are, they of course most recently did the Demon Souls remake, and they kind of were already a Sony studio in a lot of ways.
Shadow of Colossus.
Yeah.
But the next game is going to be an original game, not a remake or anything.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Be cool to see what they can do.
I really bought into the rumors that they were doing Metal Gear Solid 1 for
Yeah.
this time. So that's surprising to hear that that's probably not the case.
Probably not, unless Konami made some deal with them, and they are doing that. It's possible.
Konami should just not. How about that? That's my take on that. Outsource those games. Leave those games alone, Konami.
Another rumor while we're riding this rumor train here, Nintendo might be planning to re-release Metroid Prime for Switch as a standalone title rather than part of a trilogy collection. So this is, it's one of those rumors that's been going on for years. Can't tell if it's like just a fan wish list or if it's real, but people have talked about how Nintendo's prepping Metroid Prime for some kind of re-release. Everyone thinking, oh, cool, a trilogy. They're going to do a remastered trilogy. But apparently there's starting to be more and more rumors coming out about Metroid Prime 1 is getting its own remake, or at least remaster on the Switch as a standalone release. This is from VentureBeat reporter Jeff Grubb, who is also, this is corroborating other tweets from apparently someone known as Emily Rogers, who's an industry insider. I don't know if like her uncle works at Nintendo or what that means.
It's always an uncle.
It's the uncle that works at Nintendo.
It's always an
So anyway, they are saying like, oh, this is kind of surprising. I assumed this was the trilogy. So that to me at least gives it that little bit of like, oh, maybe that's true, because they're saying they're a little surprised by this new rumor because they thought it was a trilogy and now it sounds like just one.
It
Hey,
could
whatever.
be the
I'll
it
play
could be the Dead Space thing where they're testing the waters to see if they remake the first one and people are interested and it sells and they're like, all right, let's do 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, could be. Could be. All right. Last couple pieces of news here, then we'll wrap this up. For Microsoft, Marvel's Avengers from last year is coming to Game Pass. It's out now on Game Pass, PC, console, and cloud. What's cool about this
Scarlet
game
Nexus
is
just hit Game Pass too.
Scarlet
That
Nexus was
kind of
that
a
was
big one?
pretty big. That was a
Oh,
big
Jeff,
one.
I don't know if you saw I posted in our thread. That game is very long, so I don't know if you're.
Yeah. I'm not planning to beat it. I just want to experience it because I'm going to assume
Combat's
that it's
fun.
not going to be for me because just
Sure.
general feelings on the art style and stuff. But
You'll like the
I
combat.
still wanna
benefits,
try it.
too. The combat's fun. And then
but Avengers, it's a great game for people to continue to ignore, I guess.
well, what I was gonna say was it's actually a game that it was hard for me to recommend. Hey, go spend $60 on this.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
That's fair.
as a Game Pass game, I would highly recommend folks play the campaign. At the very least, it's a
Yeah.
really,
Now it's
especially
long.
the first half of it. And I still like the way the story ended. I do.
Yeah.
My experience of the first half was pretty magical for a little while there. I was like, this is so
Yeah.
good. So I think the campaign is definitely worth trying out, and it's
But
got really pretty moments in it too. It's good.
Yeah.
I have a lot of good things to say about that game. I cannot believe Xbox or Microsoft paid money to put this on Game Pass. I'm honestly like shocked that they're like, yeah,
I mean,
we believe in this. You know,
We might have gotten a deal. I wonder if sales have fallen off. Who knows?
maybe, sure.
Who knows? Speaking of Microsoft, Games with Gold is going to feature Arrow and Hover. Never heard of those before. Castlevania Harmony of Despair, which I think is a 360 side-scrolling game. I think.
yeah.
I think it was online, right?
It was like Symphony, but like multiplayer, right? Symphony of the Night, but like
It's like you
multiplayer.
4 players like start from 4 different corners. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And then Resident Evil Code Veronica X. Also coming
Yeah.
to Games with Gold. Is that a original Xbox game or was that
What? Code Veronica?
Code Veronica X?
Dreamcast, actually.
Yeah.
So that would have been original Xbox era at least. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then as of 9/28, which is we're past that now, Series S and X were the first consoles to support Dolby Vision gaming.
Yeah, guys.
Yay.
The next step.
How progressive.
I mean,
So
Kyle and
brave.
I have TVs that use Dolby Vision. I don't know if you guys do, but I've never gamed in Dolby Vision. I assume it's freaking amazing. So
I would
What is
assume
even
so as
Dolby
well.
Vision?
Well,
What
there's
is Dolby
also
Vision?
news that the PS5 had its first 8K game that's coming out, but even though that can't really show, you can't see it yet apparently because the PS5 can't really display it.
Mhm.
But I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know if there's just because they know an upgrade is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got $5,000 TVs now, guys. Let's
Maybe.
do an 8K
more,
game.
more than 5,000, probably.
Probably, yeah.
All right, well, that does it for us this week. A lot of interesting news and headlines, but more importantly, guys, 2021 has been an interesting year, and we are halfway there. That's the most important thing.
We're halfway there.
Living
Don't check
on
the
a prayer.
calendar. We're halfway there.
Thank you for that. All right, well, that does it. We'll sign off for this week. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Boobies.